Good evening, Speed Gaming fans. This is it. Tonight is the Hardcore Division opening rumble for the Irongol Championship Series. From the law offices of Duncan, Parker, Newton, and Gaines, I am Dr. Funkin, and I am joined tonight in the booth by my lovely co-commentator, Jat2980. Jat, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. This is a great Saturday so far, and it's going to be made even better with this inaugural hardcore Irongol matchup here.
That's right, and what's special about the hardcore scene here? The flags are blind.
And I'm just about to drop the gate here, and the runners will be off. And there they go. They'll be live in 10 seconds. So, we have blind flags today. What does that mean, Dr. Funkin?
That means that the racers have absolutely no idea what's in store for them. They did not roll the seed themselves. They were just given a ROM to play.
Yeah, so these runners, unlike other weeks, if you watch the spring term or something and we were talking about too loose or things like that, those things all could or could not be true, but our runners have no idea. And us in the comms booth, we're pretty uninformed as well. So we'll have to see what people will figure out as this goes on.
Yes, we certainly will. And I am very much looking forward to it. I don't know about...
And we should be seeing the runners head off shortly here.
It sounds like they're off, but I'm not seeing anything on my screen currently.
Yeah, I'm having similar issues. I'm just going to go check out the live Twitch channel. We apologize while we resolve these small technical hiccups. It looks like the live stream is also not up and running at the moment either, so we will be quickly checking in to see what's going on and be right back. Yeah, so we apologize for the quick technical hiccup, but we'll have someone from Speed Gaming here checking us out shortly as we're ongoing. But it sounds like the runners are in the towns and we can see everyone going on. Our fantastic tracker, doing it even in the behind the scenes work, checking out the individual runner streams, saying that Topher is dwarves with a ship and a bridge in the free box. So we have 2 loose items already, Dr. Funkin.
Well, that is exciting. Getting the bridge right away, nice. That's a little more area you can walk.
Also interesting as, well, we know for sure that we have at least entrance shuffle on here, because those dwarves popping up in Topher mean that these runners are going to be going to their non-vanilla locations. And what exactly is the entrance shuffle flag, Dr. Funkin?
Shuffle flag basically just means that, exactly what it sounds like. You could walk into Corneria Castle and it's the Dwarf Cave, or it could be the volcano. It could be any number of things.
Yeah, and so we apologize in chat. Yeah, the stream's still not updating. We're just trying to keep people abreast of what's going on is our tracker is doing a great job of checking out the individual runner streams, just so you have a little idea about, what's going on when we get back to live. A couple other interesting notes is that Provoca has turned out to be the Kraken floor. So if we need to kill fiends, and that's still a big if, we'll need to head back to Provoca. Meanwhile, Matoya is Elfland, and that's a really nice find.
Yeah, it's always with the thing with this entrance shuffle is that you always worry you're not going to be able to find early magic, and so having that access to level 3 and 4 is extremely helpful.
The other thing that we know now that Matoya is Elfland is that it's not only entrance shuffle; it's entrance shuffle with towns included in the mix, and that really changes things up because, as you were saying, magic is really important, and in the Inner Sea, you know for sure that you're going to be able to have a few different towns available to you. However, if entrance and towns are shuffled together, you could have none. But finding Elfland this early is going to be a big boon to these runners. And it looks like our stream is back up and running.
And Gouda in chat pointing out that level 3 had nuke and fast.
Oh, so that's always an interesting one. So you want to have good early magic, but when you have a bunch of early magic sharing the same level, so it can cause a few difficult decisions, as fast and nuke are both going to be important spells for different reasons. Now, throughout the early game, you're just going to be casting nuke, so it's not going to cause much of an issue. But in the later game, if you accidentally burn all your nuke charges, you could end up without fast, and that's really dangerous. So these runners are going to have to be very careful conserving that, especially for runners like Will Bloodworth, who's only got a single red mage, and then potentially up to 4 casts on that thief once they promote.
Absolutely, though, being able to have fast on a thief promoted to a ninja is one of the best spells they could possibly get.
Yeah, for sure. Having fast, saber, temper are kind of the 3 big ones that you're looking for a thief, although a nuke is always nice in a pinch as well.
It never hurts to have an extra sweeper rolling around.
So with this entrance town shuffle, what do you expect the runners to be doing here? Is there a couple different strategies they can pursue in the early game?
I mean, I know with me, I just try and, figure out, I just go to each entrance that I can reach, and from there, if it looks like something I can dive, I'll do a little bit of exploration, but for now, it's just about finding what's available and going from there.
Yeah, for sure. And something that's interesting is there's another flag which is called Deep Towns, and that can make a big difference on early game strategy. If Deep Towns is on, that means that the towns you're going to find are not necessarily going to be on the first floor, and that means just quickly checking entrances, not as good. However, if Deep Towns is not on, then that means you can just kind of pop into entrances quickly, figure out if it's critically Elfland, which we've already found, Provoca, or Crescent Lake, as those all have either key items or early spells, or both. And then duck out, because those towns are super important to find in the early game if you can.
Absolutely, they are. Still having some trouble with the stream, so it's going back up and down, unfortunately.
So let's just quickly touch on what else we know about these blind flags while the stream issues get resolved here. So far we know that it's at least entrance shuffle with towns included in the shuffle. We know that Shard Hunt is on, and how do we know that, Dr. Funkin?
The opening screen of the game told us that the orbs had been smashed into orblets that we had to find.
So that means that they do know what their winning condition is, and that winning condition is not necessarily going to be kill all 4 fiends to get 4 orbs to enter the Temple of Fiends Revisited. Instead, they're going to need to collect some number of shards, which we'll be able to determine once someone opens their menu. That doesn't mean that killing the fiends are not important, as each fiend kill you get is either going to give you 2 orbs if they're the first 2 fiends, which are Lich and Carry, or 4 orbs if it is Kraken or Tia.
That's correct. So yeah, there are definitely times where killing a fiend or 2 can really help jump up your orblet count.
Yeah, and the commissioner himself, Gouda632, pointing out that if we could see their inventory, the runners were also given a free loot. Now, to a lot of people, that might just mean, free loot, is that just another free item like the free ship or the canal? But in our case, we know that free loot signifies something, and that something is called Short Topher. So what is Short Topher?
Short Topher means that instead of having to make your way all the way down through every floor of the Temple of Fiends Revisited, fighting through countless battles, having to refight all 4 of the fiends again, making sure that you have a magic key to open a locked door. You don't have to deal with any of that. You crack open that black orb, you're in a room with 7 chests that are the chests you would normally find in Topher if you actually went chest hunting, and then you're on the floor with Chaos, and you only have to fight 2 of the fiends, depending on which direction you go.
Yeah, but however, we could have fiend tiles off. That's another interesting flag that is toggleable. So what the fiend tiles are is when you're walking towards Chaos, as Dr. Funkin mentions, you're going to run into potentially 2 of the fiends if that flag is on, and that means that there's going to be spike tiles on your route. So at most you're going to have to fight 2 of the fiends, and if you get lucky you can end up fighting just like Lich 2 and Carry 2 and avoid Kraken 2 and Tia 2 altogether.
You certainly can, and obviously that's something you'll hope for. Personally, I've never had that luck. I always have to fight one of the big bads at least.
Okay, so our tracker's pointing out something that unfortunately no one can see, but is also a big changer for what's going on right now, which is that the Canaria pub has a black belt available? I didn't know we could buy characters as items.
We certainly can when pub is on. Pub means that instead of a church in every town, you have a pub. And at the pub, you can revive your down characters, or you can swap them out for different ones if that is what you would like to do.
Yeah, and this can really change strategy up, as an interesting thing that happens when you switch the characters out is they maintain their levels. And that can be huge, especially for something like a black belt, because a black belt is kind of like a hard carry in this game. It's quite weak in the beginning of the game, and as the game goes on, it gets stronger and stronger. However, with the pub mechanic, what you can do instead is start with, say, something good in the early game, like a red mage or a black mage, and then eventually you can just swap it out for your black belt and have a late game carry. So it's definitely going to change up the strategy, and we're going to have to see if anyone adjusts to that.
Oh, and it looks like we've got movement again on the stream, so that's good.
Yeah, so already Darendry's out of the Inner Sea, and okay, this immediately confirms something else, which is that not only do we have entrances shuffled with talents included, we also have floors shuffled. So if you're a new reviewer, this might be a little bit crazy, but of note for you is the most important thing is going to be the bottom floor. Bottom floors are what's going to lead to progression for the most part. So don't worry too much about keeping track of exactly which floors are which. What you're looking for them is if they open up anything that is a shard, and if they open up, and what they find on the bottom, which is, you know, potentially like Dwarf Castle or Elf Castle or various things like that.
Indeed. You know, when I said earlier tonight that it would be fun to do blind commentary, just like the racers have to do the seed blind, this is not at all what I had meant.
Yeah, blind commentary did not necessarily mean us closing our eyes and, you know, just commentating on a blank screen. But you know what? We're back up and running, technical issues resolved, and oh my goodness, Darren,
that's an
opal bracelet +2.
Yeah, so for those of you who are not familiar, Blurst is one of our most popular flags. It stands for Blessed and Cursed. If you see a positive number next to an item, that's a good thing. If you see a negative number next to it, that's a bad thing. Basically, you get either higher or lower stats on a piece of armor or a weapon, depending on what that number is.
Yeah, and if you have any questions about that or want to know just how good a certain weapon is, feel free to ask about it in chat. We're not going to go over the math too much, but... And on Darendry's screen again, you'll see he just picked up 2 orblets, so those are the victory conditions. And orblets, as we said, they're going to need a certain amount, and it looks like it's...
a lot.
31 was my quick back of the... someone will have to keep their menu open for more than a second, which is going to be hard to do with runners of this caliber, but we'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah, I think it might have been like the 32 level. It's a lot of them.
Ooh, that's a nasty thing to find. Sorcerers having trance. Now, sorcerers aren't everywhere, but they do tend to come in large numbers, so you do not want to get hit with the trance party.
No, the trance revolution can kill a party even when they're high leveled in this game.
Yeah. So on DVS's side, we got a quick look at the Kraken side, which as we mentioned before, is in Provoca, and Darendry showed us Lich, which was in Melman. So that's already 2 of our fiends found, and that's going to be 6 orbs up for grabs once they get a few levels.
It certainly will be. And of course, that's also assuming that the that those are the actual fiends that are there, and we don't have fiend shuffle on.
Oh, that is true. So the fiend shuffle flag is going to shuffle the original 4 fiends around. So they're not necessarily going to be, it's not going to shuffle chaos into one of them. But you could see Kraken where you're used to seeing Lich. You could see Lich where you're used to seeing Tia. So that is something to keep an eye out for.
So it looks like Elfland Castle is Melmond, and Elfland itself is Corneria Castle, where the king is giving out a really bad knife.
Okay, so the really bad knife does mean something about potentially how many loose items we have, or how many bonk items we have. So that could mean that we're guaranteed to either have... let me think about this. There could be more incentive locations than incentive items, because we could hide in a bonk item, or there could be that could not be incentivized, and we might just not be getting any incentive items at all.
So, I just saw something interesting on Will Bloodworth's side. He ran into a EXP'd on the Kraken floor. And Kraken is taking him out hard with damage poison.
Yeah, speaking of that, I think this is a great shark just in the overworld?
It sure looks that way, so it looks like we might have enemy spawn locations shuffled.
Yeah, so this is formation randomizer, and it means that the enemies basically can spawn outside of their normal encounter zones. So normally, each floor of a dungeon has a certain set of enemies that can spawn there. Each area of the map has a certain set of areas. The South Sea and the North Sea and the canals all have various enemies that can spawn there. But with shuffled enemy formations, they can be anywhere. You can get any formation in any area. So they're going to have to keep their eyes peeled, as they could run into like airs or ghosts or anything, even just, in the nice friendly forests around Corneria Castle.
Yeah, and if whoever decided to pick these flags was particularly mean, they could also run into Warmech anywhere.
Yeah, Warmech Unleashed, as it's called, is a very interesting flag where our robot chicken overlord can have a nice walk in the park with us pretty much anywhere. So we'll have to stay tuned to see if someone finds Warmech on the overworld.
Yeah, and since Will Bloodworth was able to pick up Brack at level 1 black magic on the red mage, he is trying to bracken the Kraken, and it is just slowly punching down his party currently.
Yeah, now bracken Kraken early is definitely a good strategy. However, there's not a lot to be gained unless there's orb experience on. So orb experience is something that for each orb that you get, you're going to get a little boost in experience. In this case, it would be Shard's experience on. If that's not on, though, Kraken's not going to give Will Bloodworth much, and he can just come back later.
True, but he's also got no way of knowing whether orb experience is on or not, so I can see this being a smart play with the limited information you...
Oh, speaking of, perhaps not a smart play with the limited information that you want, but the play to make with limited information, DVS just picked up a floater in Mermaids.
Oh, that is fantastic. Floater, depending on what kind of progression we have available to us right now, we are either able to go turn into an airship, or we just need to wait until we find a canoe to turn into an airship.
Yes, exactly. So we'll have to see. And if the extended southern progression is on, which means that they do not need the canoe, they would also need the canal then, if they don't already have that. But at least Dare and Dry's had the canal earlier, so we'll have to see if the other runners do as well.
Indeed. And Will Bloodworth taking another wipe to Kraken. I believe that's his third at this point.
Yeah, he's got the encounter table figured out a little bit, and Brack will work eventually. So Brack has about a 26 or 27% chance to hit. So this is just a numbers game. He's getting 2 or 3 casts at a time. So he'll get there eventually, but just needs a little bit more luck at this point.
I actually think this is pretty smart, trying to nuke down these Peds, because if he happens to kill them and gain another level up, that might be enough health to survive that damage point.
Darendry's finding Temple of Fiends, which is a very important find, as you will not be able to win the game without going into here once you have all of those shards. So definitely keeping a note of where that is.
Ooh, unrunnable red Onkolo is not fun to find at this level of the game. Or any time, really.
And there we go. Burt Reynolds also picking up the floater. I'll be a little bit biased for Burt Reynolds probably this race, just because he is going to be my co-op partner in the upcoming tournament, so I hope he does well here.
Oh, nice.
He is an excellent player of difficult seeds, and he's been teaching me a lot, so
something
definitely check him out.
Something we didn't take into account, and I just realized as Will brackened the Kraken, Kraken's worth an awful lot of XP at this level, so that jumped him right up to level 9 on his party.
Yeah, so that's definitely a nice pickup. That being said, lots of experience isn't as hard to come by in random encounter zones. If you can just kind of figure out somewhere that you can pick up, say, those Peds or a Great Shark or something that you can grind a little bit on in the early game. But that being said, it took a few minutes, but he got it done, and that is going to be 4 orbs in his back pocket for later.
It certainly is. In the meantime, Darren Dries has successfully taken down Garland, and is making his way back out.
Yeah, so that's going to allow him to go and talk to the princess in Canaria Castle. So unlike in the vanilla game, where after you talk to the princess, you just get warped there, with entrance floor shuffle on, you're going to have to walk all the ways over to Canaria Castle, which sometimes you won't have even found yet. In this case, we know where it is, so it's just going to be a quick walk over for him.
Though we don't necessarily know that... I didn't see Darren Dries go there yet, so I don't know that he knows, but it shouldn't be too hard to find. I imagine he'll be going to Elfland relatively quick.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, and it looks like Pro Rings +2 were pretty cheap, because Burt Reynolds just bought them for like 3 members of his party.
Ooh, Pro Ring's really nice. Gonna be best in slot bracelet armor, or hand armor?
Yes.
Yeah, and also going to provide protection against death magic, which is very nice for some of the insta-kills that you'll find throughout the game.
Absolutely it is. So, yeah, you love to see those for sale early and for cheap. And, oh hey, that's an X-Cal -1, which we can't equip yet, but if we happen to upgrade, it's not something you're going to want necessarily as your endgame weapon at -1, but it'll get you through the middle game.
Yeah, so with the blurst weapons on, it depends on if you're on the alpha or beta version of the site. In this case, we do know that this is off the beta version, so the crit subtraction is not quite so bad, but the X-Cal not known for being a high critical weapon to begin with, and it's even worse when it's -1, so that is a consideration for the late game fiends. That being said, the X-Cal provides excellent overall usage because it preys on enemy weaknesses, which most enemies do have, with the exception of Chaos, which is why you might not want to swing it against him.
And we just saw, thanks to DVS and talking to the Hooray Dwarf, that NPC Guillotine is on, because the Hooray Dwarf just got murdered.
Oh no, poor Hooray Dwarf. But NPC Guillotine, a great quality of life flag, so I don't think these runners will be complaining.
Yes, as I like to call it, the J. Coper Memorial Flag.
Then why is it called that?
Because of the time Jay Coper, in one of the first major tournaments for this, lost a race due to getting blocked for like a minute and a half by a bat.
Yeah, that... Ugh, just awful. Ugh, I shudder to even think about it.
Life Reboot in chat pointing out that the princess gave gold, and then the king also gave us a really bad knife, and is wondering if any of the NPCs are incentivized.
That is a very good question, Life Reboot, and we will have to stay tuned and see. But the interesting thing is that doesn't mean you can avoid checking the NPCs, because they still could have a loose item, even if they're not incentivized. So it's a little bit tricky, but it just means you're going to be opening a bunch of chests trying to find what you're looking for.
Yep, and Burt also found the Temple of Fiends and is nuking down Garland.
Yeah, so let's quickly touch on the magic, as we didn't have a great opportunity to write it away. However, it's looking pretty good overall. Level 1 has Invis 2 and Brack. Level 3 has Nuke and Fast. Level 4 has Ice 3 and Temper and Life 2. So even just in those 3 levels, you basically have most of what you're looking for the late game. You have Invis 2, you have a Life Spell, you have Nuke Fast, and Temper. So magic not looking to be a major concern for these runners.
No, and in fact, with how many mages a lot of these folks took, that's great to see. You have an amazing all-game sweeper. You have your end-game buff spells for your melees. It's great.
So Selene asking in chat, Orblet, question mark. So, we sometimes will say shards because that's what the flag is called, but in this particular seed, they're going to be called Orblets, and that's going to be the victory condition. These runners are going to need to get, I believe, 31 Orblets in order to break the Black Crystal, in order to get into the Temple of Fiends Revisited.
Yep, absolutely. I believe it's 32, though.
32? Okay, well, we'll get the number for sure, or maybe our tracker will have the exact number.
I believe it has to be, because I believe they're split into an even number, because each one represents an orb.
I see.
So it has to be something divisible by 4. And 31, I'm relatively sure is not divisible by 4, but I know better than to do math on Twitch.
Oh yeah, Twitch math 100% banned.
Darren Dries picks up his floater. Meanwhile, just before he did that, the mermaid there asked if they were all going to become bubbles, and I don't know about all of them, but she definitely did.
Anim Maniac pointing out in chat that they prefer eggs, and yes, eggs, of course, what we called the shards during our Easter event. That was a fun little Easter egg, I guess you could say.
Hardy har har.
So I do want to quickly touch on entrance floor strategy. So what you're going to basically be seeing these runners doing is clearing out the overworld kind of area by area, section by section. Because there's no real reason to go anywhere in particular first, they're just going to be doing a lot of proximity checks. So they're going to kind of go to one continent, clear out as many things as they can there, then go to the next continent, clear out as many things as they can there, so on and so forth. Once they get out of the immediate early game, the odds of them just checking all the entrances rather than going deeper start to decrease. But if they're still looking for levels, or they're still looking for something like Provoca, you may see them just kind of quickly dip into a bunch of entrances to see if they can find a quick town. In this case, mostly just Provoca.
Speaking of checks, Burt Reynolds just found something which is going to aggravate our resident thief/ninja expert, Will Bloodworth. Katanas are -5 today.
Ooh. That is not good. Katana's generally one of the best late game weapons. The problem with the katana is who wields it more than anything else. The stats are excellent, but -5 is a very serious penalty to it, as it is going to remove 10 damage, which is huge on a sword that already has good but not a fantastic damage.
Yeah, and it also reduces that crit chance, which is its biggest selling point, the fact that it's tied with the Vorpal for the highest crit chance in the game.
Yes. It reduces it by 2.5%, so still a pretty good crit chance. If this was the alpha flag, on the other hand, it's much, much worse, but still not what you're looking for.
Meanwhile, Burt Reynolds taking on Lich in the Lich location, so I'm guessing we do not have Shuffled Fiends on, between seeing Kraken at Kraken and Lich at Lich. And Lich goes down pretty easily. Some Fade, some Nuke, goodbye.
Yeah, I didn't mention, but Fade is also level 4, so literally all the magic you could want. Rounding it out, Lock 2 was at level 5, which is really the only thing of note there, but Lock 2 is an important spell. Having access to Lock can really make a difference if we have clamped bosses at the end of this all. And it is very likely that we do, considering this is the hardcore edition of the Irongol.
Entirely likely, though Lich didn't seem particularly clamped.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell with Lich when he, blows over to a light breeze, even if it's 200% clamped, he still only can have 500 health.
That's very true.
So at this point, our runners mostly retreading each other's steps. Oh, that was a nice grind, actually. That was, I believe, an Irongol off the power cycle.
Burt Reynolds just found a canoe.
Ooh. So a canoe is absolutely gigantic, because the canoe is going to allow our runners to go into the airship with that floater by heading over to the Ryukar Desert? I believe that's what it's called.
Close enough. Ooh, that was a Quad X sword. So it appears that we have shuffled item magic as well.
Yeah, so shuffled item magic, that Quad X sword is the vanilla defense sword, but instead of casting Ruse, it's going to cast Quad X. Now, That
I think it's
probably
actually the vanilla Bane sword because it had a sword icon and the defense does not.
Oh, okay. Good call, Dr. Funkin. Yeah, but regardless, that's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. It really depends on what spells roll into the slot. But Quad X, probably better than Bane in most situations, so I'd say that's pretty good so far.
Yeah, that's not bad, though the A-Rub other caster item that they have is a significant downgrade from whatever it was.
Yeah, literally anything. If there was a vanilla lamp sword, maybe the A-Rubs would be better, but other than that, A-Rub not especially useful.
You won't hear me say any different. I'm not a big fan of lamp myself. So yeah, Titans East is where our canoe is. So once some of our folks with the floater get there, that's going to be big game for them.
Yeah, but you're seeing everyone kind of converging to that already. Darren Dries just got it. DVS heading there now, and if Will Bloodworth hasn't already been there, he will be there shortly. So we'll be seeing all these runners heading into the air very quickly here.
Judging from the way Bert is going, I wouldn't be surprised if Bert also has the floater and we just missed it.
Yeah, I think he has the floater as well. It would really surprise me that he didn't check Marsh, like Vanilla Marsh location, before leaving the inner sea.
Yeah, considering he's heading to the desert now, I'd say it's pretty safe that he's got the floater.
You can see Will Bloodworth quickly taking a note. I know Will Bloodworth is definitely a pen and paper type of guy, so he's got, his notepad open, and honestly, from beginner runners to the most experienced runners, it's absolutely a necessity for entrance floor shuffle.
And at 29 minutes flat, Burt Reynolds has entered the sky.
Quickly doing a shop check, trying to find the vendor item. That is not something that we've seen yet, if there even is a vendor item. I believe there has to be a vendor item.
True, but it could be something like where I played a seed the other day where the vendor item was a pure. How did I know that it was a pure? Because there were two different places where I could buy pure from the same vendor.
That's funny. Oh, Bert forgot quickly to stop in midair. Ooh. Oh, wow. I hope that's off power cycle on Bert's side, because that would be quite something.
I think it's it's either the first or second off power cycle.
So the reason we're mentioning if it's off power cycle or not is that you will always get the same encounter off. I won't go too much into the details, but basically if you power cycle and then you take the same number of steps in the same area, you're going to get the exact same encounter over and over again. And yeah, it looks like it's the second encounter.
That is an amazing, amazing grind. This will get you all the levels you could possibly want.
Yeah, so I expect Bert's going to be going up to the mid-20s here. Or, sorry, not the mid-20s. Maybe the early 20s to mid-20s. And then he may come back later. But for now, he's just going to get some levels to make all of his dives safer throughout the early game. And then keep on going from there.
However, they do have Glance and Quad X, which could be bad if they get advantage on you.
Yeah, so maybe he won't be taking it anymore, but we'll have to see if he decides to come back.
Ooh, this is a good floor.
So quickly checking the incentive item, and it is a tent. Incentive items not seeming very incentivized right now.
To a point, there was an adamant in the incentive chest in Mermaids, which could definitely have thrown our runners off if it...
So it could be like there's like 2 incentive items, and everything incentivized. Just a lot of dot locations as well.
Certainly could be.
Thank goodness, no Sky 4 maze. Sky 4 maze, the worst flag. I'm so directionally challenged that does not do well for me.
Yeah, I have trouble with all of the procedurally generated flags.
So the other one to keep your eye out for is Earth proc gen as well as Waterfall proc gen. We'll have to see if either of those are turned on when we get there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I hate proc gen Sky Maze or proc gen Earth floors more. It might be the Earth floor ones just because there's treasures to find and it can be such a pain to figure out where the heck they are.
I also forget how many treasure chests are on each one, and that just causes me more anxiety until I have to check the whole floor.
Right?
Okay, so both runners, we get some hand-holding here as the runners have found Crescent Lake, so they will get to check the Sages quickly and see if they do have an incentive location, an incentive item at this point.
Wow, houses are expensive, almost 5k.
I wish I could buy a house for 5K. I don't know about you, Dr. Funkin, but in Final Fantasy bucks, yeah, that's a pretty expensive house.
I can't talk too much. My house was a steal.
And magic, okay, Harm 4 is not a bad spell, but, you know, as I said, at this point, magic's pretty much done and dusted. They have more or less everything they could want, except maybe Wall. And the only reason I mention Wall is that with short Topher on, there's lots of room for adjustment, especially if the bosses are really difficult, and ribbons are hard to come by. We have not yet found a ribbon. So Wall could be an important thing to get through, you know, something with a bunch of HP who casts an insta-death or two.
And the old men in the park are giving us a couple of bucks to go buy ourselves some candy.
That's not creepy at all. Okay, so Bert checking out Crescent Lake, finding Lefane, which not a super important town until you find the slab, but at this point, who knows if the slab turns into anything, or if the slab just turns into the chime like it does in the vanilla game.
Well, speaking of good grinds, at the west entrance to Titan's Tunnel, Darren Dry's just found an Irongol.
Irongol's very nice. Was it on a grind tile, or was it just off, like, a power cycle?
I think it was just an encounter.
Okay. Actually, I was just thinking more about that, the fact that the Adamant turned into the X-Cal. That does make me believe that vanilla fetch quests are going to be on here. Because the X-Cal, of course, is the vanilla Adamant turn-in. So it's
very
likely
true
that the slab will turn into the chime. So the slab is an important find, and Melman and Lefane are both important as well.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point.
Gaia, very similar, because Gaia is going to turn into the Oxyel, and while, you know, the Mirage Tower as well as the on-rack dungeon may not be required locations to check, as with shards you don't need to get them from anywhere in particular, it's still nice to be able to check those entrances.
Absolutely it is. And Bert making it very quickly through the teleporter maze in Ordeals and finds a 3 Saria tile. Wow, we've got all that's actually a great grind tile.
Yeah, it's pretty nice for the early game, although it does look like they have a little bit of HP. You'd like to see them going down. And also they have Glance, so
probably not going to take that, considering we had to waste 3 spell charges in order to get them all down.
Yeah. Oh, actually, one note about magic that we don't have right now, which is especially important in Entrance Floor Shuffle, is we have neither Exit nor Warp.
Very good point. Exit or Warp, especially in Entrance and Floor Shuffle, oh, that's a nuke stick!
Oh, nuke stick. So we were speaking item magic really depends on how good the magic is, not the item so much. Nuke, about as good as you could ask for, so Bert definitely happy to pick that up.
Yeah, I can't imagine, like, maybe I would rather have Temper or Saber on a stick, just for the end game, but for actual speed of getting through the seed, give me Nuke on a stick all day.
Oh yeah, because that's going to give... Bert now has 4 AoE non-elemental casters of the strongest spells in the game. He has 3 nuke casters and a Fade caster, but Blue D's...
He's got nothing, because he just got thundered right to heck.
Yeah, Blue D's not having much of that.
And not having any Exit or Warp makes trying to get through Ordeals and get out safely pretty difficult.
A little bit of irony in the fact that we were just about to discuss Entrance and Warp, then got so excited about the nuke stick, we're like, not important, and then, of course, the one time you need Exit to get out safely. But knowledge is power, and he does know the Pillar's Maze at this point, if his memory holds up.
I think the Pillar Maze might have been vanilla with how quickly he got through it.
Is he going to go third pillar? It looks like it is vanilla.
Yeah, it's vanilla. That's one of my favorite things to check on, because Falconic's done it a few times, where he's making a seed and he leaves the Pillar Maze vanilla just to mess with people.
Oh yeah, we should quickly give credit to the people who made this fantastic blind seed possible. So Falconic, the creator of many interesting flag sets, including for a long time our challenge seeds, was the one who came up with the flags. And then Gouda, the commissioner himself, was the one who decided what seed to use. So if we see Blaze Arachnids, you know to blame Gouda. And if we see, clamped 500% bosses, that one would be Falconic's fault. So, now you know who to hit up in Discord.
And this time, Burt Reynolds decides to run from the blue Ds and successfully makes it out.
So basically came back in for the nuke stick, but nuke stick, pretty good. Probably not a bad investment.
Nope, absolutely. I would, taking that wipe and not finding any key items, I wouldn't care. I would go back in for that nuke stick every single time.
Darren tries finding Earth 1, which is a kind of nice find because it has a number of grind locations you can check, and he's still looking for levels. Interesting that he went to Lefane this early. Sometimes people will leave it till a little bit later, as for example the Cardia Isles, which is where Bert's going right now, has so many locations you can check so quickly, whereas Lefane's a little bit of a walk, but it might pay off if you find something there.
Speaking of finding things, in the forest location for Cardia Isles, we have Carry Floor.
So the carry floor both has 2 shards, as well as an quote-unquote potentially incentive chest. But at this point I'm a little bit dubious. But that's also not a bad tile if they rolled low, which is unlikely, but...
They rolled stunning at the very least.
Okay, Zombie D's not doing much. A-Fire, also good to see. They need to go... Okay, no,
they roll pretty high.
They have like 500 or 600 HP, so not something you're going to come back to, but nonetheless. Darren Dry's giving us the rest of Earth 1. So far, not much to speak of. Finds a nice Orblet, though. Always important at this point.
Burt Reynolds doing exactly what I would have done after seeing how gross that Zombie D Whizvamp tile was and resetting out when it turns out there was just gold in that chest.
Yeah, especially when it's only on the first floor.
And Carrie is going to get nuked and faded probably into oblivion. Oh, she did take out the red mage, though, pretty easily.
So something to keep note here is that Vanilla Carrie has 600 HP, Vanilla Carrie 1. So... we're going to have to see how much HP she has, as if she's, up to the 1200, 1300 or so...
Nah, she's done.
It could show how high the clamps are. But so far the bosses have been pretty paper. Or not paper, but pretty, nothing too crazy.
Kraken could have been enormous, we don't know. It got bracked.
True.
That's one of those things, like even with clamps, Kraken and Tia have that magic vulnerability that makes them go down. Campanalogic in chat asking what an Orblet is. They are doing a mode called Shard Hunt. Orblet just happens to be the names of what the shards are on this seed. Rather than lighting the 4 orbs by killing the 4 fiends, they have to collect 32 shards of those orbs in order to open the way back to the past. And Will Bloodworth has found some eyes, and gotten a stoned white mage.
Yeah, having a character stoned at this point, not the end of the world. Okay, Burt Reynolds checking one of the dead ends and finding the dead ends, so that does make me think that the dead ends are not shuffled into the pool.
And that's always nice. Having the dead end shuffled in just makes life a little bit more of a slog with these entrance and floor shuffles. And finds Onrak.
So no Oxale at this point in time, but can check for magic. Critically is going to be checking for exit and warp.
Still no shop item.
Yeah. And in Onrak, both slots are going to be learnable for that white mage, and slot 2 will be learnable for the black mage. So exit or warp now. Don't quite have the levels to use it yet, but still good to find.
Will Bloodworth was putting that Quad X sword to great use to try and gain some levels on his black belt, and unfortunately, the eyes also have Brack on top of Glance and Quad X.
Pretty nasty skill list. Oh no, spell list. Spell and skill list. So not something that's super friendly to grind, but still just like the amount of EXP they're worth.
And Burt Reynolds just found an Invis helm.
Also critically in Onrak was Cure 4 at level 7, so a little bit high, but definitely something you want some charges of in the in-game. 1 or 2 Cure 4s is all you sometimes need.
Yep. And Quad X taking down Will's Thief. Not sure it's going to matter too much if he's continuing to grind this. I'm guessing he wants his black belt to turn into a one-punch man.
Yeah. And that's going to happen around, 32 is going to be the beginning of the One Punch Man, and then 42 is going to be when the true legend emerges.
It certainly is. Basically, the way black belts work, for those who don't know, is they gain more hits and more damage at certain level breakpoints. 32 gets you your 8th hit, and 42 gets you your 10th hit.
And then with fast, which these runners have tons of access to, that goes to double. So that is how the black belt does a lot of damage in the endgame.
Yep. And this is going to be a lot of XP on that red mage, getting 3 eyes worth on itself.
Unfortunately, Will Bloodworth only has 1 stone soft potion remaining, so not going to be able to unstone the remaining character, but that's not a big deal. It just may have to reset a little bit for this grind whenever something goes wrong. Want to give a shout out while we kind of watch people just, explore dungeons through our tracker tonight, Jay Shidell. So thanks again.
Absolutely, doing a great job keeping track of everything on these 4 runners. It's a lot for one person to do. And oh hey, a fog shirt.
Yeah, so you know what? Item magic not rolling too terrible. I saw an invis something. We have a quad X and a nuke something. So overall, item magic pretty good.
Yeah, I would forgive all of the item magic being terrible for that one nuke stick.
That's true. A nuke you forgive a lot with a nuke stick. Now, the nuke stick is something that would make this eye grind a lot easier for this black belt once they go down to solo.
Oh, absolutely it would. It is a little unfortunate that just the way this rolled, he happened to find this grind before finding the nuke stick.
And Burt Reynolds giving me nightmares as he goes through ProcGen Waterfall.
Ugh.
It's really not that bad of a flag. It's just, if you're directionally challenged, it's pretty easy to get lost in there. I think someone just told me hug the right-hand wall forever, and you'll get there eventually.
That's only sort of true. It can be a real nightmare sometimes because there can be, the way it wraps around, it can be a problem. Oh, that is a Ghastly spike tile.
It's pretty nice. Ooh, and a loose tail. Now, it looks like it's going to be black belt strats for most runners throughout this seed, but that tail's still a really nice pickup at this point.
Yeah, and Burt Reynolds doesn't have a black belt, so I'm sure he'll be taking that tail and turning it in as soon as he happens to figure out where the heck Bahamut's hiding.
Well, the reason I say that he still could go to black belt strats is because of the pub mechanic.
That's very true. He could always hire one from a pub.
And DVS finding a ribbon in Sky 2 on the left side, on what we call the spider floor. So that's a really big pickup, as the ribbon's going to provide protection against all elements. I also think it was a ribbon 5, which means it also gives you 6 absorb. What more could you want from a single piece of gear?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So Will Bloodworth doing the thing to get the black belt grinded, which is to go down to a single character, as the way EXP works in this game is you get a total amount from the enemies, and then you divide that by the number of characters, and each one of them gets that much. However, if you only have one, the entire load of EXP goes onto that one character, so if you want someone to gain levels quickly, you just go down to a solo black belt.
No, he is bringing that thief back up.
Well, you can't be Will Bloodworth without giving his thief some levels.
Very true, though at the same time, he's found nothing as far as equipment for it.
Yeah.
Aside from that -5 katana.
Yeah, Thief's not going to be pulling too much weight at this point. If you grind him up a little bit, though, you can always change him into a black belt? Question mark.
Double black belt strats, let's go.
2 One Punch Man?
The 1-2 punch combo man.
Not bad, not bad. Looks like Bert's having to come back into this waterfall check. Wants to get out with that tail. Probably wiped the Gasties on the way out.
No, he made it past. He was able to run from the Gasties. I think that what happened is that he didn't talk to the sad robot, and may have wiped after that.
Oh, okay. Wow, this canal system doing its best Sky impersonation. Chimeras after Vamps, Whiz Vamps.
Jay Scheidel saying he did talk to the robot, and it was an orblet.
Okay, yeah, Skepticon pointing out exactly what happened. He tried to kill some Red Ds, and they had a bunch of HP, which, you know, can happen in these Irongol flag sets.
Rando gonna rando!
So, our runners are all... It's very, very difficult to say, you know, how the runners are doing at this point. Bert's definitely opened or checked a lot of locations so far, which is a good advantage for him. But the other runners have, you know, various other things going for them. Will's got a few levels on that black belt. Other runners have, you know, got some gear and various things like that. And it's really, really hard to tell in Entrance Floor Shuffle who's ahead until someone enters Topher, and then you can do a quick evaluation of their gear situation. So you're gonna have to stay tuned, and you know, you guys can play the game of who's ahead in chat, but at this point it's really hard for us to say as commentators.
Yep, and now Will is over in Castle of Ordeals. Will probably be finding his nuke stick and being happy about it, and oh no, he has not realized that it's vanilla posts yet.
I don't know if the runners were told who crafted the flags, because vanilla ordeals is such a Falconic thing to do. But if you didn't know it was Falconic, if you thought it was Gouda, you might not think to check that. But, you know, speaking with Bert, he says that he actually defaults to the vanilla way, just in case anyone is ever cheeky enough to turn on vanilla ordeals. So he got that
the same thing. Yeah. And that's the thing, like, I recognize the vanilla pattern of what you run into first, and, like, after hitting the very first two, both being the bottom pillar, I would at that point expect it to be vanilla.
Yeah. Good little tips for runners if you're trying to, you know, thinking about trying out any blind flags.
And there's Will going, did I really just pick that up?
You know, many runners complain about level 1 nuke. How about a nuke stick?
Yeah, why be limited to charges of nuke?
Why be limited to have a mage to cast nuke? It's way better when your One Punch Man black belt can cast nuke on everything and anything.
Except that he put it on one of his mages instead of the One Punch Man.
Maybe worried about charges. Also, actually, I'm surprised he did that, but doesn't really hurt at this point. Oh, it was the white mage, but I mean, the white mage does have level 3-4 fades, so just probably concerned about charges, and the black belt punching things is going to do a lot of damage as well, so.
Very true. And like you said, if he ends up going back to grind more eyes, that nuke stick is going to just let him take out the entire pack at once, instead of having to do them one at a time with the Quad X stick. And he's immediately going back. Not surprised to see that.
Realized that he never actually re-equipped all his armor on his other characters after removing it to grind the black belt originally. So he's like, hey, I had to unequip all my armor. Oh, look, they're already all unequipped. Isn't that convenient?
Indeed.
So Bert finding two pretty important items. One is important because of how bad it is, and one is important because it's important. So we found the bottle, which will turn into the Oxyale, and also find the Vorpal -5, which means the Game Changer is not the Game Changer. We do not have a good endgame sword at this point.
No, all three, like, our last hope is finding a Masa. Like, at this point, even a Masa -5 is better than any other endgame sword we found.
Yes. You could look for, like, a Sun +5 or an Ice Sword +5 can do some amount of work. but it's still not really what you're looking for. I actually made a chart to kind of compare the effectiveness and expected damages of various things, and it's just like unbelievable how much like the katana and masa outperform the other swords, even when they're, you know, neutral. So not having the Vorpal, not having the katana, and potentially, cross your fingers, not having the masa, this could be a very difficult Temple of Fiends Revisited, even if they only have to kill 3 bosses.
Yep, and Will Bloodworth is exactly where he wants to be for this grind. He's got 3 dead party members and a nuke-sticking One-Punch Man, who's already up to level 24.
So, this was the Ordeals check too, and Ordeals is something that a lot of runners will put off for quite a while. This makes me think that Bert's probably checked all the other overworld locations, which makes sense finding the bottles. That's going to open up the on-rack dungeon.
Yep.
And it looks like he's also purposely keeping just the solo fighter up with the nuke stick, knowing that the fighter can punch down most things, or swing down most things, and nuke away the rest, just to try and get some levels on that fighter. It's really important in the late game to have kind of 2 things. You want your life casters to have more than 400 HP to survive a nuke, and you want your melee character as high level as possible, as that melee character getting levels to get extra swings and extra damage is going to exponentially increase your damage, especially with swings. So seeing multiple runners, you know, experienced runners, keeping just getting levels on their melee character makes a ton of sense at this point. Yeah.
I'm a little surprised he tried to do that Whizvamp zombie D grind, considering that Bert was the first person to find the 3-eye grind.
Yeah, I was surprised that he was taking the grind. It was understandable when he was just kind of, you know, walking grinding with the nuke stick, but I don't think that grind is much better than the 3-eye grind, which Will Bloodworth is doing right now.
I'd say it's worse, considering those, they had a stun touch on those Whizvamps.
Oh yeah, stun touch. You cannot resist the touch effects with a ribbon, unfortunately. So levels will help, as MDEF does affect it, but not something you can get away with, and when you're running a single character, getting them stunned down is really, really bad news.
It certainly is, and that's what happened. He ended up wiping it.
TMC backwards, pointing out that curse affects crit rate, right? And yes, that is correct. Each point of curse is minus 0.5% to the crit rate on the beta site.
Darendree's picking up something, I missed what key item it was, but they cause them to stare at that chest. Gets their Vorpal -5.
They got the bottle as well, I believe.
Ah, okay, that's where the bottle was.
And yeah, it looks like Bert gonna go check out the on-rack dungeon location to see what they can find. And he finds Marsh Top.
Oh boy.
So we still could find an incentive item here, as you know, at this point it's very much looking like an all loose or it's like kind of like a all loose but fetch quests or vanilla seed is what we're looking at this point.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's been any kind of incentive locations aside from, you know, one being there accidentally.
Yeah, the Vanilla Mermaid's location.
Yep. Oh, and oh hey, a cube.
Ooh. Bert must have gotten that as well, because he was down to the Agama room. So.
True, but I don't know that he still has it because he wiped out.
We'll have to see where he heads to next.
Going back to the Marsh Split.
Meanwhile, Will Bloodworth, he knows how to get through a tough seed, and he is just going to grind that black belt until he is satisfied, and then take very few fights from that point onwards. The other nice thing about doing the grind early is that the black belt will be able to promote keeping a high MDef. So the reason why promotion in black belts matter is because the black belt gets +4 MDef per level, which is absolutely huge. Meanwhile, the master, its upgraded class, gets no benefits except for a decrease in MDef per level to +1. So black belts itself don't necessarily hurt by leveling up, as long as you don't, by promoting, as long as you don't get levels after you promote. As long as you get all your levels beforehand, you can promote away, it doesn't make a difference. But if you promote too early, you're going to lose out on a ton of MDef, and that can be a huge difference. The break-even point is around, once you're 40, extra MDef doesn't really do much. So if you get to there first, promote away.
Yep. And however, there are flags that can mess with that. You can change it so that MDef growth is inverted, or you can change it so that black belts get +3 and masters get +4.
Ooh, that is true, and that could be on. I don't think you can see MDef in the status screen either. So, something a little bit tricky for these runners in a blind setting.
Absolutely. The fact that Glance is still hitting, but it's hitting significantly less often on Will as he as he grinds up, makes me believe that he's at least getting vanilla MDef.
Yeah. Oh, not a big deal. Gets bracked, but not the end of the world. And our tracker Jay Shadell pointing out that Bert does not have the cube in his inventory, and that is pretty important, as that does lead to promotion, as Darren Dry's showing us here, as this was the cube block.
Oh, cube block led to Bahamut, okay.
If NPC Shuffle's not on, which we don't think it is, oh no, the other two were vanilla. We haven't seen Elf Castle, so it's still, okay, vanilla. And Darren Dry's checking for that exact reason. We had only seen Dr. Un in Melmond at this point, so we couldn't have confirmed that the other two hadn't switched.
Very true.
So Will kind of just continuing to grind. DVS checking some locations that some of the other runners have already been, but also going to be getting some levels on these eyes. We're about an hour into the seed. Do you want to give us a quick recap for people who have joined us in the last 20 or 30 minutes here?
Sure, so this is the inaugural Irongol Heavy Metal Hardcore Division Rumble. And I can't really recap the beginning of the seed for you because we couldn't see it. There were some technical difficulties. But yeah, I mean, we've been rolling around. It appears that there are no incentive locations, but we have vanilla fetch quests, and we did not have open progression on. And we have item magic shuffled, as you can see. Will Bloodworth using a nuke stick. And yeah, we've just been having a real good time.
I think the other notable setting right now is that we do have short Topher on as well, which means that the runners will not need to find the key or the loot. So basically, once they're at their orb count, or shardlet count in this case, they're just going to be able to enter Toph and go to fight 2 bosses and then Chaos.
That's right. I probably should have also mentioned that we're doing a shard hunt as opposed to a traditional seed.
Yeah, so if you're confused about what these orblets are, basically you're going to need to pick up, we've confirmed 32 of them at this point, and at that point you're going to be able to break through the black orb to get to Temple of Fiends Revisited, unlike traditional seeds where you need to kill all 4 fiends. Now the fiends are still going to give you some orblets, but you do not need to kill them in order to win.
Speaking of flags, that's a required war mech on Darendree's side.
Ooh. Required war mech, an interesting flag, as Tia is worth 4 shards, but getting through war mech can be very difficult.
Yep. And we're trying to do X for Brack strats, which is probably not the best bet for killing war mech.
Yeah, this is, last resort strats, but, go talk, if you want to talk about last resort strats, go hit up Gouda in chat.
Yeah, and Darendrees gets taken out by the Robo Chicken.
So Bert picked up the crown in the volcano hairpin. So the crown is going to lead to a little fetch quest chain, correct?
It certainly will. Crown will lead to the crystal, will lead to the herb, will lead to the key, which we don't especially need.
Although the key is helpful because it just opens up a bunch of chests, and all those chests can contain orblets.
That's very true. But that's also a lot of time that you're wasting running all over creation.
Yeah, especially when those places to turn it in are so deep.
And Will Bloodworth hitting level 40 on that black belt, so he's going to at least 42. Oh, hey, a slab in the Volcano Armory on Burt Round's side.
Ooh, so that slab is important, because that's going to open up another dungeon location in the Mirage Tower.
Well, it's going to open up another entrance. We don't necessarily know it'll be a dungeon.
Okay, yes, it's going to open up another entrance. That is correct.
For all we know, it might be Provoca. I don't think we've seen Provoca yet.
Provoca would be pretty nice. And yeah, if we haven't seen Provoca at this point, and I believe all the other entrances... We also haven't seen a C-split, have we?
Oh, that's a good question. I can't remember if we have or not.
But Provoca, definitely something that the runners are going to be keeping their eye out for, as level 2 magic. Could very well contain Exit or Warp, though I believe we just saw Exit at level 8. So, cross your fingers for Warp.
Oh, hey, there's some TNT in Marsh Bottom.
That's going to give you the free canal, which means it's going to give you a dead item.
Potentially. It could give us something. We don't know.
True. Could be just, an orblet.
Could be the rod. Who knows? Alright, I'm guessing Will Bloodworth has hit level 42 as he's going back to revive his party members.
And gonna pick up a bunch of sauce if he does not already have some. Oh, that's really interesting. I just noticed this. So, because there are no sauce in Canaria, that means that shops are not shuffled. Because
Ooh,
if shops are shuffled, there's guaranteed to be softs and pures in Canaria.
Alright then. So wait, if shops aren't shuffled, does that mean that the vendor item isn't shuffled?
I would have thought that, but it didn't look like I believe Bert checked and there was no bottle
The vendor doesn't sell anything but a bottle normally, so the vendor item might have just been a soft potion.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's exactly what happened. Yes, that's correct. Yeah, very interesting. Little tidbits of knowledge for the blind flags. However, knowing that shops aren't shuffled can be helpful if armor shops aren't shuffled. Then that can mean that you can go just pick up gold bracelets and pro rings in Gaia, which is also nice.
Yes, Skepticon, we know that we found the bottle in a dungeon, but we've also been keeping an eye out for what the vendor item could be. And if shops aren't shuffled, that would mean that whatever the vendor item was supposed to be would have been at the Desert Oasis, and the Desert Oasis was selling a shop potion, which means that today, the vendor item was a soft potion.
Wah, wah, wah. I mean, Will Bloodworth likes soft potions at this point after, getting glanced 100 times by eyes, but he's done getting bullied. He's got a level 42 black belt. He's about to do the bullying from now on. And we'll have to see if that grind pays off.
Yeah, I mean, depending on, if bosses are clamped and what they're clamped at, it definitely could be a very safe way to get through this.
Yeah, for sure. But that grind also did take a significant amount of time.
I spent like a good 10 minutes doing that.
And while he was doing that, the other runners were, checking different places. And that's why, as we said, it's really hard to tell who's kind of doing well or winning right now, because the blind flag set just makes everything kind of so difficult to know who's in the best position, as we don't even know what position you need to be in order to take this Topher on.
I love seeing this. He gets ambushed by a bunch of scorpions and cobras, and they all run away.
DVS doing an interesting check here, so you'll almost never see this if you watch the spring tournament, for example, and the reason is because that is a linked chest. However, if you have not already found the floor which that chest is linked to, you can check it right away by doing what he just did. So checking linked chests and knowing where they are is still important for entrance floor shuffle at times, especially if you just happen to find a loose item there. That can be huge.
And the TNT turned into a cabin, which Burt Reynolds reset out of.
Wah, wah. So yeah, even though it was vanilla, because we had a free canal, it didn't necessarily turn into anything important. And there we go, another vanilla turn-in. So we have the chime for the bottle. Or sorry, for the slab. Oh goodness. We have the chime from the slab turn-in, which is the vanilla location for it.
And it looks like we're immediately going to check the Mirage Tower.
Yeah, I think this is going to be Provoca.
That's my guess, because we haven't seen it yet. And yep.
Twitch can't do math, but Twitch commentators can commentate their game sometimes.
Oh, Bert. Okay, Pirates got an ambush. It looks like they're only punching, though. So we haven't... It doesn't appear that Unsafe Pirates was on.
I think it was, because they have Mute Touch.
Okay, then.
Mute Touch also means that Touch Attack Shuffle is on. So that can be very dangerous. But we haven't seen anything too bad yet. But that means you can get things like Mute Touch, Death Touch, of course, already there, but you can get any number of Death Touches. So yeah, Shuffle Touch Attacks, something to be a little bit worried about.
Now we'll get to take a look at level 2 magic. Maybe this is where our warp was hiding.
Yeah, and I mean, that'd be great if you hadn't already cleared out all the rest of the dungeons. Still, worth picking up. It will save you some time throughout the seed, but not exactly where you want it in the last location.
Well, we do still have the, whatever the dungeon is going to be underneath the Oxyale in Onrak.
I think someone has checked that out, but I'm not sure. Somewhere has to lead to the C-split, and somewhere that C-split needs to lead to the Ice Cave, because those are the key things that we haven't found yet, but looks like Warp is level 8.
Yep.
Yeah, Ew is right. Warp and Exit both being level 8 in Entrance Floor Shuffle. Boo. Boo.
Boo and hiss.
So something we need to keep... Okay, there's Ice Cave. Something we need to keep an eye out for these runners right now is where their shard count is something that's important in this game is that you're not necessarily trying to clear all the floors, clear all the dungeons, anything like that. You're trying to win, and you win by killing Chaos. And the way you kill Chaos is by getting enough shards. So these runners keeping track of their go mode, knowing how many shards they know where they are, orblets. You know, how many they know where they are, and by that I mean they know fiends they can kill, for example. That's something that all these runners got to be keeping a very close eye on, so knowing when they can stop opening chests and just start killing fiends.
Yep. And, yep, that's another standard Invis helm for Burt Reynolds there.
Yeah, the Invis, not the greatest thing in the world, but it does do the same thing as Invis 2, but for a single caster. Half as effective as Ruse, which is why it's a little bit unfortunate, but still something that can get by in a pinch. If you're down to, you know, a solo fighter or a solo black belt against Chaos, you can just spend 4 rounds Invising, and that can do the trick, although it's difficult.
So, Burt Reynolds just found a chest with a Cat Claw +1 in it, and sadly that might be our best endgame weapon that we've seen. Okay, Jay Shadell, our tracker, coming through big again, pointing out that it is 25 shards we need to win. As he has clips and can pause, and that the rough shard count is Will at 14, Darren Dry's at 10, Burt at 16, which means he's very close if he kills a few more fiends, and DVS at 7. True, but Burt's only at about level 19 on most of his party.
Yeah. He will come back and do a grind later, though. Like, this, as I said, as a co-op partner and we do Entrance Floor Shuffle, this is pretty par for the course for him, is that he'll, you know, clear out the dungeons at a reasonable level, and then can do a grind later if he feels like he needs it. He may also just check Topher first, try and figure out what the clamps are at, because he doesn't know. These bosses could still be fairly easy, as none of the original Fiends have done anything too scary except for Warmech.
Very true. And Burt Reynolds making a bunch of inventory space to pick up a Sun Sword +4. Okay, there's an endgame weapon.
Okay, yeah, so the Sun Sword +4 is going to have 30, 32, 40 attack. Crit rate's not amazing, but it's okay. With doubled, it's going to be like 11.5%, and +4, 12%. And then the hit rate's going to be decent, so you're going to be getting probably 4 or 5 swings at it at most levels. So something that's going to be reasonable for the end game, but not incredible. It's still worse than like the vanilla Masa.
Yeah, but also significantly better than everything else we've found.
Yeah, you're going to be better off swinging the XCal -1 against everything but the last bosses. But of course you can't swing until you promote, and Burt still has not promoted.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know that Burt... I mean, Burt will probably promote if he happens to run across Bahamut, but it's not a priority for him considering the levels he's already gotten on that fight.
Yeah, that's definitely true. At this point, though, it does really seem like Black Belt is the way to go, just because the sword's quality is still really just not there, and the fighter is much more dependent on their sword quality.
And there's Masa at -3 in the vanilla floater chest.
Yeah, so once again, Bird and I have been practicing a bunch, and we know that the Masa -3 is going to be better than the Sun 4 against most things. The crit rate's going to be still better, actually. So yeah, you're just going to be... He's going to be swinging the Masa just for the higher damage. He may potentially change it out for the final Fiends, but we'll have to see.
It looks like he just put that Masa on the White Mage and didn't bother re-equipping a sword on the fighter.
Interesting. So that's just because he wants more damage spread out throughout his party, but...
I think it's because he left the nuke stick on the fighter, so now the fighter is a sweeper and the White Mage is the ninja.
What is going on in this world? Now, one big benefit of the White Samurai strats, as we call them, is that the White Samurai has ruse available to them, and that can be really important, as it lets them get their evade up much quicker than anyone else, and that can be super, super important for late game Fiends. However, looking through the spell list, okay, ruse is level 5, so there'll be enough charges of that.
Yeah, absolutely. After all, you only need 3 charges of it to get up to max.
Yeah, and this White Mage will, probably get up to 6 or 7 if these runners start getting some levels.
Once again, surprised he's doing these zombie Ds as a grind, considering, again, he knows where the 3 eyes are.
I think this is actually probably a safer grind. Just because they don't have all those annoying spells. It's going to be maybe slightly slower, but if you have to reset even every few grinds, also he's saving tons of time by not having to use houses and cabins, and then burn an encounter, then walk into the dungeon. So, XP per minute, this is probably faster. Yeah. Okay, re-equipping the Masa. So the Masa was just being moved down for grinding reasons, evidently.
Oh, these red Ds have Blaze. That's brutal.
And they have tons of HP. Burt has already wiped once to these red Ds in a previous dungeon, Waterfall. So he knows just how deadly they were. But luckily, both his life casters get away okay, so...
That's another reason that he might want to promote, is that getting life 2 on that fighter would be really nice, even if it's only 1 charge.
Yeah, it's... Because of short Topher, life on the fighter matters slightly less, just because the cost of wiping to one of the early Fiends is less. You can just reset. But yeah, you're completely right at the same time. Like, having life on the fighter is always a really, really nice thing. Now, something else that I just thought of that we should probably be aware of as well is that chaos may not be chaos
Very true. We could have alternate final bosses on. Chaos could be 2 war mechs and a whole bunch of other things.
Could be the Fun Dead party pack. Could be
what was it? Double lich or double carry? No, that's the Fun Dead pack. Like double carry, double kraken or whatever.
Double dragons is Kraken and Tia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, or Garland and Friends, Whack-A-Mole.
Yeah,
where you have
Chaos
Garland,
Whack-A-Mole.
Chaos and 8 Garlands. So we'll have to see if that's even on. It could be Chaos still, but we don't quite know yet. Meanwhile, Bert's taking on the War Mech. We'll have to see, and I'm going to keep a close eye on HP totals here. As in beta, HP and stat scaling is independent, or sorry, not independent. So if he has, 3,000 HP, that means we're looking at a 300% seed, at least.
Yep. And so far, we've got 900 damage out on that War Mech already.
Yeah, at this point, I'm expecting it at minimum that we're clamped, because none of the bosses have had less than their vanilla HP.
Debating between Temper and Nuke at this point. Temper goes out. 7 hits for 996, so he might be clamped at, like, something, but hard to tell what, considering he just did basically double its max HP in one swing.
Yeah, that wasn't a very good litmus test. Meanwhile, DVS finding the Proc Gen Waterfall, and he will get to have the joy of going through this. If he takes a similar number of steps as Bert, he will also run into that Red Dragon pack, which could be very nasty for him. As he has good but not fantastic levels, so that could be very scary.
Absolutely. Ooh, Tiamat hitting hard. 600 damage on the Black Mage turn 1.
Did you see how many hits that was?
I didn't.
Okay. Because
it was more than one.
That type of damage usually means a higher percentage as well. These are all just little things that, like, these experienced runners, they're just kind of trying to get a spidey sense for, like,
4 hits and stun touch.
How dangerous are these bosses? How much do I have to prepare for Topher? 8 hits? Ooh.
Okay, so it was 8 hits on the Black Mage before Invis 2 started going out. That makes sense. Oh, and some Thunder. Yeah, that's helpful.
So Vanilla Tiamat has 4 hits. Yeah, okay. At least 200%.
Five hits for 92 damage. Oof, that's some absorb if we don't get crits.
Yeah, the slightly reduced base damage really does hurt, but crits always important. So the way crits work in Final Fantasy are that you get basically double damage, but half of that double damage ignores armor. So let's say, for example, you're doing 10 damage and they have 5 absorb. Well, instead of doing, 10 damage, because both get absorbed, instead you do 15. 10 of it ignores the absorb, and the other 10, subtracts 5. So against fiends with really high absorb, crits are super important, and that's why we talk about needing to make sure that you have good crit rate weapons for the endgame fiends, as they tend to have very high absorb. Looking quickly at shard count, though, that looked like Will Bloodworth was almost where he needs to be. So Will Bloodworth, with a good grind and most of the shards that he needs, getting close to being ready to enter the Temple of Fiends Revisited.
Yeah, that's been the benefit of having that One Punch Man, as well as being able to... It lets him move that nuke stick around while still having someone take on the hard targets.
Looks like DVS took a wipe in Waterfall, unfortunately. This Waterfall, as we've said, is just not a fun place to be.
No, not at all. Only one orblet in the greater than, less than room, and a bunch of garbage equipment we don't care about.
Enlightening Fart having a question in chat. Are the options selections picked by someone or are they randomized? So they are handcrafted by someone, in this case Falconic, but they are blind to the runners. So the runners didn't know what was going on, but it's not all quote-unquote random. The way that Final Fantasy Randomizer works, it's not quite like, for example, Link to the Past Randomizer, where things like PogJam settings are very popular. All Tri-State is just not a very fun flag set. So having a handcrafted but blind flag set is generally the best way to play blind seeds, and that's exactly what we have here tonight.
I mean, I like all Tri-State, but I'm a psychopath.
Yeah, I created a little tool that selects from a bunch of presets at one point, and that turns out to be okay seeds as well. But you don't like just random incentive items and things like that. It's not a ton of fun. It looks like Will Bloodworth has enough shards, or he's one short. When he quickly flashed his menu.
Yeah, if he only needs one more, he could just go kill a fiend and be done with it.
Will at 23 out of 25. Thank you very much, Duke Firebird. So yeah,
he could definitely just go kill any fiend and be done with it.
Yeah, he might have already killed them all though. Just
very true.
Because once you have the black belt at 42, you're just like, oh, I'm gonna go kill all the fiends. And
I'm relatively sure he hasn't killed Tiamat because we didn't even see him fight Warmech.
Okay, there we go. Check the menu. 25 in the bank. He is ready to go enter the Temple of Fiends Revisited. Meanwhile, I think Kraken's going to give Bert the rest of the shards that he needs. So we're going to be seeing two runners entering Temple of Fiends Revisited within maybe a minute of each other. And with that, at the hour and 23-minute mark or so, Will Bloodworth has entered Go mode.
He sure has. And found a Gershard Big Eye, which is just some great extra XP for his party. Pity that Warp and Exit were at such high level and just basically unattainable magic, because he would love to be able to just exit out after grabbing those final Orblets.
Oh yeah, for sure. Meanwhile, Bert, interestingly, choosing to do a fighting strategy rather than trying to brack the Kraken. It makes sense because, he's reasonably high level, but definitely can potentially be slower. It can also potentially be faster if you get bad luck with your bracks, but bracking usually a solid strategy against the later fiends in the first version of them.
Yep, you get about a 26-27% chance to brack both Kraken and Tiamat.
The fighter's getting there, though. And the fighter is a much safer way. Is if you don't buff the fighter enough, and both your brack casters go down, you're basically doomed. Versus if you do it, buffs first, then you're pretty safe. And that's what he is here.
Will Bloodworth getting another triple I fight, and so that'll be some great XP for the 3 party members still up.
Okay, and there we go. Bert taking down Kraken, and we will have to see. Okay, still 4 orbs short. May have to go kill Carrie and Lich if he has not already. Oh no, sorry. He's good. You don't get the shards until you light the orb. Yeah. Yeah. So he is in Go mode now, and checking his notes for where Toph is.
Yep.
Man, I was very much expecting Will Bloodworth to get out into Temple of Fiends Revisited first, but this getting out of this dungeon has just been
Yeah, it was a hugely deep dive where he found those last shards.
There we go. He's reached the surface though, and Temple of Fiends Revisited is right above him.
Yep, though he may need to go pick up some heal pots first.
Nope, he's diving right in.
Oh, so he is.
With short fiends, with short Topher, getting heal pots a little bit less important, just because you're not going to need to burn quite as many normally.
Very
Bert,
true.
Not sure what he's doing. Well, he was in Topher first, but he's now going to be in Topher second. Will Bloodworth quickly checking the chest, looking for a second ribbon.
Yeah.
And chose poorly got Tiamat, unfortunately. So this does mean that Fiend Tiles are on.
Oh, and that missed with the 10-hit black belt. That is bad news. And I don't know that he has lock.
Oh no, does he not have lock? That would be not good news for Will Bloodworth at all.
With fast, he hit once.
So that means it's basically crits or bust. Oof. So going to be hoping for a low roll Tiamat, but on the bright side, worst case scenario here, he just goes the other direction and says, you know what? Nope, I don't want to deal with this. Okay,
Well, he made it though. And one of his life casters is still up, so not a big deal.
Yeah, basically no loss there. Loses a few fade charges, but other than that. Meanwhile, Bert has the magic, but doesn't do nearly as much damage as Will Bloodworth's fully ground black belt. Heal pot's in a slightly unfortunate location here. And Bert's decided that the bosses, so basically what Bert's realized here is that the bosses are clamped, and they're clamped fairly high, so he's going to go grind a little bit first.
Completely makes sense at this point, and he knows where those eyes are, and he goes straight for them. Oh, and we have a nuclear Lich.
So that's not ideal, but Lich should go down. Yeah, there we go.
Instantly.
Okay, and here we go. Will Bloodworth about to take on Chaos? Question mark. Oh, it looks like his white mage. His red mage doesn't have life.
He must not have purchased. He must not have had like the money at the time, and just never picked it up.
It also might have been white mage lock. We didn't see.
Nah, other red mages have it.
Okay.
And we've got double war mech and a bunch of evil men.
Okay, so against this fight, generally speaking, you want to take out the Evilmen with like a mass AoE, and then get a carry ready to punch the war mechs down. And that. Okay, using a confused shirt, didn't get much luck there. War mechs have crack.
Yeah, and a war mech also punched One Punch Man for 500 damage.
Yeah, Cure 4 is going to be very, very helpful here, but does not have it available.
Nope. Time to nuke.
Or not
gonna happen.
Okay, so this is not a friendly fight. Oh my goodness!
Evil men have nuke as well. Yeah. Okay. Let's try that again.
Okay, Will has some information here. Knows what's going to go on. He's going to do mass AoEs turn 1 to kill all the Evilmen, and then try and take the war mechs out after that.
And he's gonna make sure not to leave that nuke stick on his dead white mage.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah. And decided, oh right, I don't want to fight this Tiamat again.
Oh right, left sucks. Let's go right. Yeah. Not quite sure what Bird is doing here. Doing a fetch quest turn-in, but not sure why. We'll have to see what...
he feels like he needs... maybe he doesn't have a ribbon, and he's trying to, like, do a walking grind and hopefully find one, maybe get to a key.
Oh! Either that or he's looking for promotion.
Yeah, that's true. He, like, found the tail a million years ago and never found Bahamut.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, it's locked behind... It's in Volcano, is the volcano floor, the floor that he wiped on, that's what had the cube, which led to promotion. So he's quite a ways off, but alternatively, he could go pub up, unless it's only replaced nuns, he could go pub up a black belt.
Very true.
Oh, and our tracker pointing out that he also reset out a waterfall, which had the tail. So promotion very much not on the list right now. Other runners nuking away, and Will Bloodworth threw Kraken with only a red mage down, so not too bad.
Nope, significantly better than Tiamat was. Reese Wolf pointing out that nuke on evil men makes a ribbon not matter anyway. Very true, but Burt Reynolds doesn't have that info.
Yeah, against those evil men, you just want to mass AoE as hard as possible.
Ooh, Confused Shirt actually worked on Carry.
Yeah, so it does have a chance to hit, but Carry no longer weak to the status element, so not as strong as it is against Carry 1.
And 10 hits, 1600 damage, goodbye Carry.
And here we go, Will Bloodworth about to take on Chaos? Question mark for the second time. In this case, we know it is 2 War Mechs and Friends. In this case, the Friends have Nuke. I'm very curious to see if Gouda saw that on his run, and if he's just, really being a nice commissioner for this hardcore Irongol. And here we go, Will Bloodworth making the adjustments. Take it away, Dr. Funkin.
Alright, so let's start it up. We're going to throw out a Confused Shirt, we're going to fast up the Black Belt, and we're going to probably throw out that Nuke Stick as well, absolutely. 7 hits, 355 damage. X-Fur comes out. Ice 3 from one of the War Mechs, which is kind of nice, actually. Gives us a bit of a turn-off. Confused Shirt, ineffective, 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 ineffective. More X-Furs from Evil Men. And here comes our first Nuke Staff. And it looks like the Evil Men are going down nice and easy, so we don't have to worry about getting nuked down by them. War Mech swinging in hard on that Red Mage. And the Red Mage goes down. More Nuke Stick, more fighting. We're gonna try and mute the War Mechs. No luck there. First War Mech goes down. War Mech punching out the Thief. Nuke comes out, 120 damage. 8 hits, 651, terminated. Get your GGs in chat. Will Bloodworth has finished in first place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 33 minutes, and 47 seconds.
And congratulations to Will Bloodworth, and it looks like he is going to be joining us for an interview.
Hey, Will. GG.
Thank you. Wow, that was sweet.
So congratulations being the inaugural belt holder. I cannot think of a better inaugural belt holder for the hardcore Irongol. It very much seems to suit your particular playstyle.
Yeah, it's definitely on brand. For sure. This is what I've been pushing for, a hardcore division, hardcore tournament for a while now, and I think I kind of had to have a pretty good showing today to kind of justify that, so I'm glad that I was able to pull this off. I'm actually surprised I did, since I did like no exploration at all.
Yeah,
hard to have a better performance than coming in first.
Yeah. I am surprised. But yeah, that's great.
It was really interesting because your tact was very different than a lot of the other runners we had on stream. You were really the only person who just decided to take a static grind for that black belt and just said, you know what, I'm going to guess this is going to be hard. I'm going to need some levels. And that, I mean, I think that's just you knowing that you know how to be prepared for tough flags. And that it was exactly what you needed for that kind of nasty alternate chaos fight.
Yeah, it's a matter of kind of metagaming and knowing who's rolling the seeds or who's picking the flags and all that. So knowing what kind of a cluster, that I was going to be getting here, I figured, okay, well, I'm sure these fiends are not going to be fun. I'm sure chaos is not going to be fun. And I want something that's going to be able to deal out damage without having to rely on weapons. And I don't know what the weapon selection was like, but I saw Katana -5. I'm like, okay, it's going to be that kind of seed. All right. I'm black belt can take care of the rest.
The best sword was a Masa -3.
That's the best sword?
I mean, it's that or the Sun +4, but considering this was rolled on the beta site, so it's still the weaker version of Blurst, yeah, it was still probably the Masa -.
Yeah, I think based on just overall damage output, that's probably a little bit better than a Sun 4, but still not what you want to be swinging at Evil Men War Mech final boss.
Were you surprised when you started the seed and you saw the loot in your inventory?
Nah. I figure if I had like loot and key or something like that, I was kind of surprised I didn't see tail there. The main thing I was scared about, and I didn't check until about halfway through the grind, is whether or not they inverted the MDef. So I didn't want to be grinding up a black belt unpromoted and getting 1 MDef per level, because that would have kind of screwed the pooch for me.
Yeah, is that available on the status screen? We weren't sure.
I saw it uses what I think it's a hex stat. So it was like I think it was like C8 when I was at level 20 something. So it looked like it was picking up at minimum 3 per level, if not 4. So
Okay.
I wasn't too worried about it. Yeah,
Okay,
I wasn't
so
going to stop grinding because of 3, but 1 is a reason to stop.
Yeah. Okay. We were curious. Like, is there a way to check it? And there you go. You've
Mhm.
played your fair share of these blind seats, so you know
For
the right thing to check. Well, meanwhile, it looks like Bert has re-entered the Temple of Fiends Revisited. So you two entered at almost exactly the same time, but Bert in a very different position than you were in, as he's A, has a fighter, B, his levels are quite a bit lower, and unfortunately just does not have the is just not getting any luck here. Is that Masa not doing nearly the same thing as a level 42 black belt?
No, probably not.
No, he's down to just a fighter after hitting
Ugh.
Kraken.
Yeah, he's kind of so. Did he promote?
He did not promote. He got the tail out of Waterfall, but had to reset out because he got wiped by Gas D's and Red D's.
Ouch. I don't think I ever saw Red D's. I'm guessing they were pretty bad.
They had a whole lot of health and liked to cast Blaze and came in large packs.
Yeah, they were
Ouch.
disgusting.
Fun times. Well, we check the stream out here and let's see if Bert has some more luck.
Yeah, for sure. Come in and join us here as Bert's entering Topher for the 3rd time here. He's seen both sides, kind of trying to figure out which side he likes better. As Tia, not particularly kind, but Lich is kind of a cakewalk. Meanwhile, the other side, both Fiends, kind of intermediate. Looks like Bert preferring the Kraken carry side.
Yeah. I accidentally took the Tia fight the second time. I was like, I'll just reset out and I'll just go right. It was sizably better. Yeah.
When you step on a banana peel in Topher, normally it's awful, but when you do it in short Topher, especially when it's only 1 floor deep, it's not so bad. You just click that reset button and come back.
Mm-hmm. It was kind of instinctive because when I play the regular game, when it's not short Topher, I go left and around up to Chaos. So it was instinct.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of instinct, something that did you notice anything about that Ordeal's pillar maze?
It was probably vanilla because I had the 3rd pillar and the 4 pillar room was what took me to the stairs. So I'm guessing it had to be vanilla.
Yep.
Yeah, that's something that Falconic, who designed these flags, likes to do to just mess with people, is to set it to vanilla, and lo and behold, he...
Yeah, I forgot that's a thing he does, and had I remembered, I would have absolutely just done vanilla as default, because what's the worst case scenario? I go back to the start? I mean, that happens anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I
think... Go ahead.
Because I do co-op with Bert, he told me that he just runs the vanilla, check anyways. He always goes vanilla pillars, just assumes it, because he's been with enough trolls, evidently, that turn that on. So he got lucky for it, but yeah, unfortunately, I don't know if the other runners had much luck figuring that particular little tidbit out. I do have a question for you, though, Will. Did you know that Falconic was the person who crafted the flags?
I was fairly sure it would have been him for something like this. There's only so many people who are going to put a flag set together for a hardcore race, and he's suspect number 1 anytime that happens. So yeah, I figured it was him.
Okay, but you were not
maybe good.
You weren't explicitly told.
No.
Okay.
No, there was only a handful of people that it could have been, but Falconic was my number 1 guess, so I played it as if.
Assume Falconic until told otherwise. Oh no. And it looks like Bert has unfortunately forfeited from the race.
Oh man.
It looks like on our screen that he's still going, though. Maybe...
He did it in chat, but he's going back in. So unless this is on a huge delay, I don't think it is.
It's not.
No.
I mean, it might be because of how, you wouldn't necessarily know this, but the stream was incredibly messed up for the first 5-ish minutes, maybe longer.
Oh man.
Yeah, we couldn't, we had sound, but we didn't have any video.
Huh. Weird. That's my girlfriend's using what you call it, Streamlabs OBS for Mac, and she's had a problem like that a few times where it's just not like there's no video, just audio. So I don't know if it's I don't know what that's being caused
Yeah.
by.
The speed gaming people said it was because unfortunately our runners had too good internet and too good computers, and were streaming at too high of a frame rate and broke down their restream server, which it happens. So we'll make the adjustment next time. But we got it sorted out pretty quick, and luckily everyone was able to enjoy the vast majority of this inaugural race.
Yeah. Well, I can relate on the low end tech side of things. I couldn't even run a delay for the tournament, so that was fun. I brought my computer to a crawl, so like no matter what I did, turn off this, turn off that, lower the frame rate, I was still. It was like 70 to 90% skipped frames until it hit 99.
Ooh.
So it was not happening.
On the bright side, we knew that you weren't going to cause any stream problems for the restreamers.
No.
Yeah, so is there anything else that you kind of wanted to touch on while our last two runners here just kind of continue grabbing a few more shards and kind of preparing for their, Temple of Fiends Revisited dive?
It feels like I won this race at the character select screen. Seeing the trouble that Bert had with the fighter party, and watching everybody else kind of struggle with fighters and with gear being the way it is, weapons being the way that you're saying they are. Black belt was the way to go, and I can't imagine beating this as easily with a fighter melee.
Yeah, so interesting is that Tavern Recruitment mode was on, but you could only replace nuns. So, yeah, something a little bit interesting there. You probably saw the Tavern Recruitment mode, but you just never felt the need to replace anyone. Though I was surprised. I mean, that thief must have been considered to be on the chopping block a little bit there. Not doing a whole lot for you, although it would have been very off-brand.
I would never in a million years. And I'll, not just because it's me, it's because I love being able to run away when I want to run away and not being told can't run over and over again. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the biggest reason that the thief has always appealed to me, is I like being able to run from fights. It's the quickest way to get out of a fight.
What about Temple? Yeah.
Yeah, that was the best reason to go into ordeals, was that nuke stick.
Oh man, I was so delighted when I saw that. I'm like, okay, well, grind's back on. I don't have to use a quad X sword, and I can, I can suffer a few glances and poison. What were they using?
They were using Glance, Quad X, and Brack.
Brack, that was getting turned to stone. I figure I can just play the turn order game and soak up the XP, and if I have to reset up because I get, bracked on a level 30 plus black belt, so be it. It's gonna happen a lot less often than not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your grind wasn't 100% likelihood to succeed, and because of that, it wasn't like the absolute fastest thing in the world, but it was pretty good, and it definitely got you there. So I think overall, as you can see by you finishing and no one else even, being done yet,
right.
Definitely the right move, and it paid off nicely. Interestingly, Bert actually found the exact same grind and decided against doing it.
He also found the nuke stick and wiped out of ordeals at the blue dragon spike tile and went all the way back through just to get that nuke stick.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's like finding a Masa 5 early game.
Absolutely, yeah. You can't go wrong with that.
No, you can go run nuke stick, which is what I was doing. I threw it on the white mage because white mage is least likely to run. So it's like, well, if all three of them fail somehow, or the turn order happens, then at least I'm throwing a nuke out there and wiping down some or all of the enemies that are in front of me. And I didn't do any exploration in this thing. Like, everybody's all over the map, and I didn't see half the entrances at all.
Yeah, I mean, with only 12, with you getting basically 12 shards for free from the fiends. Although you didn't even fight Tia, did you? Did you fight Tia?
Nope.
No.
Nope,
So
I fought Lich, and I killed Kraken immediately. Like, I just took Brack, and I think it was 3 or 4 attempts, and I just got him. Just wanted to
Yeah, it
know
was
why.
your 4th attempt.
Yeah. So something hilarious that no one is ever going to realize, but I will share with you, Will, for your enjoyment, is
Mhm.
we did get the flags beforehand, so we were playing a little bit coy at times, but there was a very interesting flag on, which was that EXP at 12 items was 200%.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone got to that many key items, so it never came up.
I might have had like 6 or 7.
Well,
I
all
had a bunch of
loose,
stuff I didn't turn in.
and vanilla fetch quest locations.
Yeah, I think I was sitting on like 3 or 4 turn-ins.
Let's see, you had the crown, adamant, slab, and TNT in your inventory, according to our tracker.
And I didn't turn any of them in.
I don't think so.
I turned in adamant. I turned in.
You might have turned that in, because that turned into the Excal -1.
Right. I was gonna sell it and then I just forgot because once I found the eye grind, gold wasn't even an issue, and I didn't even buy better armor for the other 3 characters. I just basically said, okay, I have a black belt and 3 other people also happen to be here holding things for me.
They had +2. They had +2 pro rings on. What more armor could they possibly want?
Yeah, that I had wooden armor on the, no, I had chain armor on my red mage. I threw the opal bracelet on the white mage after a while, but it wasn't the thief, and I think the thief put his wooden armor +5 back on. It didn't really, I didn't care. As long as the black belt stayed alive and got buffed, I didn't care.
Yeah, a fasted black belt got you most of the way. We also noticed actually that you didn't have lock, which was not the nicest thing against that Tia.
I did buy lock 2, and I think it was in Melmond.
Okay.
And I just never used it. I don't know why. I think I was trying to temper the black belt. I think he might have died before I had a chance to even get a lock 2 off. And then after that, nothing else I fought needed to be evasion lowered, so.
Okay, yeah, we were just noticing that your black belt missed somehow being fasted against Tia, and that was that's not good.
It missed an unfasted swing, which was still 10 hits missing is bad enough, but once I got the fast off, I think he was hitting between 1 to 3 times per turn, which is fine as long as it's doing damage.
So it looks like Darendry's kind of getting to starting to prepare for Temple of Fiends Revisited stage here. Looks like 14 or 16 orbs or so, gonna kill some fiends and get ready for that. DVS still kind of exploring, but is promoted, which is something that none of our other runners can say, so definitely was on more of an exploration plan, but unfortunately that didn't really pay off for him, as there's just nothing good to find. The best thing you can find is a grind and have a black belt in your starting party.
I don't think I left the southern continent. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know that I ever went anywhere in the northern continent.
That's saying something, because yeah,
I never did. I don't remember ever going to. I didn't go to Gaia. I didn't go to Lefane. I didn't go to Ordeals. I didn't go to Waterfall or Omrak.
Yeah, and Cardia is where Carrie was. Oh, ribbons were +5, huh?
Yep, I got the one that was in. I think it was Sky 2.
Yep.
It was the middle left.
I think that's the only ribbon the runners have found so far, too.
Only needed one. Just needed something that was gonna protect my life caster, and my black belt at 42 plus is a ribbon. So, one is fine.
Oh yeah, my goodness, I just realized this too, looking through the flag sets in a little bit more details. This is just such not a fighter seed either, because it was randomized treasures, and the random wealth was set to impoverished.
Oh, was it? Oh man.
Oof.
Jeez.
Just not nice at all. These poor fighters.
Mm-hmm. Take it to 50, at least make it durable, give it as many hits as you can give it.
Yeah, the Massa -2 will get the job done. And really those evil men, though they had nuke, you just really need to cast 2 AoE sweepers, and they pretty much went down.
You just needed turn order. I was lucky enough to get it. those war mechs were hitting very, very hard, and I had no means to throw up walls of evasion either. I didn't have I didn't have an invis item, invis 2 item, no spells. I think my white mage had ruse, but that's it.
There were invis helmets available, but I don't think they were anywhere you went.
No, clearly not. Let's see, what did I'm gonna look at my handwritten tracker here. So I went to Curia Castle, Temple of Fiends, Matoya, Provoca, Dwarf Cave, Northwest Castle, Elfland Castle, Marsh, Melmond, 2 Titans, Earth, Sarda, and Crescent Lake, and Volcano.
You literally didn't leave the southern continent.
I never left the southern continent. That's crazy.
That's amazing.
Maybe that's what's slowing everybody down, is that literally everything you needed was south, including your grind.
Yeah. And people are just used to like exploring entrances and things like that. 25 is not a ton of shards, especially when you can get 12 just from killing fiends. And there was like 3 or something ridiculous like that in that Sky 1 floor that you found your last few in.
Yeah, I think there were 3 in there. Yeah, I was surprised at like how soon I hit the orb count. I'm like, I did so little exploration. How the hell am I finishing ahead of everybody? Like, it didn't make sense.
Yeah, and at this point you've finished like near 20 minutes and there's still no one else finished.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bert was pretty close. He just needed to like go and grind for 10 minutes, unfortunately, and he just, right, fair enough. He didn't feel like wanting to do that, and that's a very reasonable choice at this point.
Yeah, I can totally understand not wanting to slog through that.
Yeah, I mean, you did it beforehand, which feels bad, kinda, but you knew what you were getting yourself into. Doing it after because you have to. It's not your strategy; it's what you were forced into. Not so much fun.
Right. And that was part of the reason for taking the black belt, because it's its own built-in. It's a built-in in case of fire break glass. Like if everything is too tough, you can go back and grind it.
Yep, and that is why you are the current hardcore division belt holder, Will Bloodworth.
I am stoked about that. That is my first championship since I think the second league where my team won. But I don't think I've ever had an individual championship before, so that's freaking awesome.
So what do they say in wrestling? Are you any plans to try and bring the belts together on one single person?
Spell Zap, I think, has pretty much everything else, and he wasn't in this race, so I think a challenge from him is probably forthcoming.
Oh, but you could also try and get back at him in the general Irongol competition. Any fighting words, or are you going to stick to your hardcore division?
I am ranked number 3 in Irongol, so there's 2 people ahead of me in line to take Spell Zap on, and if they lose, believe it, I'm definitely challenging for it.
There we go.
And
you heard it. You heard it here. Will Bloodworth telling the other contenders, get on it. Either take him down or let me have him.
Mm-hmm. Whoever's holding the belt after all the rotations happen and I'm up, they are getting a challenge from me.
And maybe they should bring a black belt if it's allowed.
Wouldn't be a bad idea. If it's not a forced 4 thief or a forced 1 thief race or something ridiculous like that, like I like, then yeah.
Not that you would ever do that.
No. Taking one character sounds ridiculous to me.
DVS taking on Lich 1, trying to get his orb count up a little bit here. Meanwhile, Darren is getting very close to the shard count required, but I do think it's going to be very difficult for Darren Dries to get through this Temple of Fiends Revisited with kind of just the party comp he's running and the current level situation. But getting some information is very important, so you definitely do need to get that shard count up just so you can know what you need to deal with.
Yeah, it's a low shard count, which I think was cool. We didn't have to worry about too much.
Yeah, the shard count could have been worse because it was set to random between 24 and 32.
It ended up being on the very low end of that.
Yeah. Well, if you want to send your blame or your love, depending on how, I guess you won, so you can send your love. Gouda was the one who actually picked the seed itself, so it was a Gouda-Falconic combination.
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense to me.
Well, thanks for joining us in the interview if you are going to head on off, but congratulations on your victory.
Appreciate it. I'll hang out for a little bit. I'll go on mute while we take care of these other 2 runners here on stream. Give them some attention.
Sounds good. Thanks, Will. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, GG again.
Okay, well, let's head back over. It looks like Darren Dries just hit his final orb in actually the exact same room as Will.
Yep, I noticed that myself.
Now, one thing DVS does have going for him is that with that promotion, he will be able to swing the Exhale on that fighter and could have, you know, the Ninja, for example, swing the Masa, which is a nice additional damage source, especially when those war mechs didn't have a ton of HP but hit very hard. So, you know, even if one of his characters gets swung out, still could be okay.
And checking SRL, Thunderclawed has just forfeit from the race as well.
Oof. Yeah, I mean, Thundercloud is a great runner coming 4th place in our spring tournament here, so he really knows his way around Final Fantasy Randomizer, but this seed was just not kind, and it's very likely, I believe he's known as a white mage player, but I think he's also more of a fighter player than a black belt player.
He had a black belt in his party when he was on our stream initially.
Oh, so perhaps just didn't find a grind or had some trouble with it, but just goes to show how difficult this hardcore division is.
Absolutely.
Will really did make it look, you know, oh yeah, just get a black belt, just grind him up to 42, just win the seed, you know, only check the southern continent, but many good runners having a ton of trouble with this, so it just goes to show that, like, Will is a well-deserved champion of the hardcore belt for now.
Yep. I could not have asked for a better inaugural champion for this division.
Now, on that note, if you're interested in getting in on this action, if this looks like fun to you, you can come join our Discord anytime and get in on any of our events. So we have the Duck Derby coming up in a week, we have the co-op tournament coming up later this summer, we have the normal Irongol Championship, as well as the now hardcore division. And the hardcore division, once you're in, no one can reject a challenge. You have to do it or give it up. And you can just go in there, fight any of these runners you see on screen right now. So if you think that you have what it takes to be a belt winner, get in there. Challenge Will to one thief matchup, and you will lose, but you'll have fun doing it. So,
pro tip, never ever challenge Will Bloodworth to a solo thief seed.
Yeah, not a good way. If you want to let him show off on stream a little bit, may be a good plan, but not a good way for you to win. Reese saying in chat already that is in the books for him. Meanwhile, Darren Dries taking on Warmech. I guess this is for the levels, as I believe Darren Dries has everything he needs to enter Temple of Fiends Revisited.
Yep, they got all the shards, so I'm not sure what's up here. But this could be real bad, because Warmech hits real hard. And has Dark Touch.
Meanwhile, DVS picking up the slab here. So that is a nice little find. We'll give him the Chime, which gets you into Provoca. Level 2 magic didn't have anything too terribly important, but still pick up, a Cure 3.
Darren Dry is still equipped with an Ice Sword.
Oof. Oh man, that's going to be a very tough refight here, or chaos fight.
And at this point, I think we're basically wiped.
Yeah, and he's going to reset out. Oh, wait.
Wow, what? That was so many shards that got reset out of.
Oh, because he went to the bottom of the dungeon. Wow, okay, so now we know where Will got all his shards from. This one dungeon had 7 shards in it, plus Tia. So beating this dungeon will give you 11 shards.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And now Darren Dries gets to play the memory game to see how many shards he remembers. If you are planning on joining the co-op tournament, this is a very important skill. Ooh, that's a nice fight.
Yeah, purple worms are worth some great XP.
This does give DVS a nice solid chance, though, to make up a little bit of ground here. Fighting now for stream second place, which, actually, no, second place overall.
Yep, absolutely. Because at this point, still, we have not had another finisher. Almost 30 minutes after Will hit .done.
Going down this kind of reverse Sky dungeon. So you go Sky 2 to Sky 4 to Sky 1.
Just a big old mixed up set of garbage with a bunch of unrunnable spiders. DVS getting his TNT, which we know leads to a cabin. It'll be interesting to see if Darren Drace tries to go at Warmech and Tiamat again, or decides to walk these orbs back out.
Yeah, the thought process was probably that he would get out quicker fighting Warmech, but turns out he got out quickly, but not with what the orbs that he needed.
No, not at all.
Will Bloodworth responding to the call out in chat, as is fitting of the hardcore division. Yep, so here we go. DVS about to get his vanilla crown turn-in. Meanwhile, Darren Dry is continuing to go through redo this very deep, very orblet-heavy dungeon.
So, that's something that I hadn't bothered to consider with these flags. Because you get that 200% XP bonus at 12 items, the vanilla fetch quest chain is actually kind of useful in that respect.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's so difficult for these runners to determine that is on.
Oh yeah, they have absolutely no way of knowing. We just know that it would give them that fringe benefit.
Yeah, exactly. And just like, it'd be very nice to have, because that 3i grind at 300% EXP, that'd be real nice, but unfortunately something that's just not really going to happen for either of these runners. That being said, I do know DVS, a fellow racer of mine, he is someone who will not quit easily, so I expect him to be very exploration heavy and also fight till the bitter end, and I do expect to see him get through this chaos, or alt chaos, but it may be a difficult path ahead for him.
I'd say it's a difficult path ahead for anyone who didn't take a black belt.
Yeah, for sure. It's too bad that it was only replaced nuns on. It makes a lot of sense for the flag set, but it does make it so that you can't do some of the very interesting and tricky things to change up your party comp in the various pubs throughout the seed. Depending on what's good.
Yeah, replace nuns makes a lot of sense if you also have forced party members on, because you don't want to just be like, oh, I got forced into taking 2 thieves, I'll just swap them out.
That's true. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense in the flag set, but if you do want to try something, a little bit... It's a very different gameplay style with the allowed to replace anything, as you can just kind of do that black belt swap we were talking about, or if white magic is great, you can swap your black mage for a white mage, various things like that, which is really interesting. Definitely check that flag out. DVS getting some decent levels. I am his white mage or his fighter, but I saw level 28, and that's, getting to the area where you want to be. The Masa is going to get another swing at 36, I would believe. So, and the first extra swing is going to be at 25, or no, 26 because of the Masa -3. So, needs a few extra levels there, but potentially could get up to that 6th swing, and that could make a big difference.
It absolutely could, especially with how, gross some of those HP totals are on the bosses in Temple of Fiends Revisit.
Mm-hmm. We have to hope for both our runners' sakes that they go to the right instead of going to the left, as the right was definitely the nicer choice. And it does look like Darren Dries is going to walk out with the items that he got.
Yep, was making the walkout for a bit now. Realized their folly from last time and said, no thank you, I will take my shards and go home.
And DVS only needs 3 more orbs, is in the right dungeon, as we see some runner sync. They were actually going from different entrances, but Sky 4 Maze all looks kind of the same. Okay, here we go. DVS about to go to the most shard orblet heavy floor. There's 1 on this floor, and then there's 3 below it, which will be everything that he needs. Meanwhile, Darren Dry is walking out. Now, we'll have to see if DVS decides to keep going deeper. That war mech is killable, but not easy.
Yeah, and they don't know it now, but that war mech is also great information for what the final boss of this seed is.
That is true. Oh, okay. A tracker pointing out there's 4 on the next floor, but definitely the 3 he needs if he decides to go right first. Okay, here we go. Darren Dry's almost out. This is a deep dungeon. My goodness, why is exit level 8 and entrance floor shuffle?
Mostly to cause our runners distress and for our chat to be able to laugh at them.
For our viewing pleasure. Seems about right.
Exactly.
Looks like they just high-fived.
Yeah. Oh, did you just see the high five in on chat or in stream on the Sky 4 floor? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Darren Dry's finally out, about to get his first taste of Temple of Fiends Revisited, while DVS about to get his last shard. So we're going to see our runners, hitting go mode within a few minutes of each other. And we are still looking for the second place finisher. Either one of these people could be the #1 contender for the belt. So Will Bloodworth looking with a bated breath.
Mm-hmm. I'll accept pretty much any challenge I get.
There is no contender rule, so Will, you're pretty familiar with it. Do you want to go quickly into kind of the differences between the hardcore division compared to the normal one?
Irongol works off of a ranking system where your wins and losses based on who you play against will determine where you rank. We just had a rumble, and the rankings are basically the finishing order of that race. Spellzap's still the champ. He didn't participate because he didn't have to. And that means the first place winner became the #1 contender. They have first rights to challenge. If no challenge is issued within a certain amount of time, then it opens up to the person below them, and then on and so on and so on. And I think there's a certain amount of time where after that, anybody can challenge for it. Whereas with hardcore, anybody can challenge for it at any time. So, Reese if that's an official challenge from Reese, then I accept, and we'll have somebody craft some blind flags for us, and we'll race. We'll figure out a time.
Yeah. So, still a lot of prestige on the line, but a little bit less structure and a little bit less necessity to fight and fight and fight and fight and fight to get a shot at that title, which will lead to a lot more shakeups. Which should keep things exciting. DVS looks like he is about to get his last few shards as Darren Dries enters the Temple of Fiends Revisited for the second time. Realized that particular floor was no fun. Also realizing that for some reason those bats cannot be NPC guillotined.
Oh, and DVS, because he up a class change, did have exit and was able to just get the heck out.
Oh, we finally see exit in entrance floor shuffle, the best spell.
I'm guessing warp was probably 7 or 8 as well.
It was also
It
8.
was, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Great seed, guys. Great seed.
Okay, DVS, I think, making a little bit of a meta play here. He knows, just like you were like, hey, let's bring a black belt because this is a Gouda Falconic special. DVS is like, you know what, I'm level 32 on my fighter, and I'm going to go get a little bit more of something. I don't know what exactly yet, but not ready to enter Temple of Fiends Revisited quite yet. I was thinking he was coming in to do the eye grind, but doesn't look like that's currently the plan. Meanwhile, Darren is taking on Kraken 2. His fighter does survive a swing.
It was, looks like we found the C-split.
Yeah, at last.
Ugh.
Okay, this is looking bad. Yeah, and Darren resets out.
It's not going to look any better when he goes left instead.
I think he's already gone left, though. That's the problem.
Oh, no.
He did go left. Tia kind of wrecked him.
Yeah, Tia's definitely the worst boss out of all of them.
Well, DVS has got an all-red party here. Fighter, Red Mage, and Ninja.
Yep.
Grabbing tons of levels.
Yeah, I think DVS has as good of a shot as these fighter parties have seen, as he's got promotion plus an extra, based off fighter HP, 4 levels or so, 4 or 5 levels on Darren Dries.
Right. If he has a way to buffer his defense, that'll help a lot too. I didn't see if he did, but if he's class changed, he should be able to get access to Viz 2 and Ruse and so forth.
Yeah, he does have access to all of that, as well as Cure 4.
Tia also had nuclear. I missed that.
Tia just has all the fun times.
So this is the nuclear half of the room, because I'm pretty sure Lich also had nuclear.
Yeah, Lich did. Lich also had no HP, but...
What else is new?
Oh, I think DVS wants to go get experience off Warmech?
Yeah, that appears to be the case.
Hey! Our stake Lord and Savior has appeared. And DVS is on Team Food, not Team Friend.
Oh, boo.
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 Will Bloodworth is the original Team Friender.
Actually, technically, that's going to be Edgeworth. That's Edgeworth.
Oh, really?
Shofukamachi, Ice Blue, and I think Chitin 619, who's a rare appearance these days. There are a few of us, but I definitely was not first, but I might be the last.
Well, I always associate it with you because of that image of you. Like the friend
Drake
food.
Meme. The Drake meme.
Yeah, the Drake meme of you doing that is like the reason that I associate that with you, and that's been around since the early days.
Yeah, I made that back in 2017, I think, during the tournament.
Oh goodness, 2017. Whew.
Yes, I'm one of the longest standing members of the community. I think there's maybe 3 or 4 people who have been around longer than I have at this point.
Yep, and that experience definitely shows in these hardcore flags, as you were saying. Though, I mean, the randomizer, what's available now compared to what was available 3 years ago, like, it's insane how much work and time has been put into this. If you're interested in trying it out, definitely, we highly recommend. There's a flag set for everyone, I think. You know, whether you want to play fast, you want to play something difficult, you want to play something, you know, a little bit more puzzly with different flag sets. I think there's something for anyone out there, so definitely come check it out. And if you want recommendations, there's many people with many opinions on, you know, what should be your first flag set. Okay,
yeah,
so
I
Derek,
tell people just get comfortable. Get comfortable first. One thing I tell people to train is run through the game with a solo character of every class, so you learn the class as best you can. Learn by necessity. Not a lot of people take me up on that.
I don't know if I would recommend that as the first way you play the game, but definitely a good way once you're a little bit more experienced. Oh my goodness. Your vanilla-ish one character only run-throughs are maybe not the most friendly entry point into the game.
Maybe not. But you learn the characters out of necessity.
Mhm.
Like when you learn what weapons you can and can't use, you learn what spells you have available when, how to get through certain parts. Like, because there's a lot of times where you're going to get down to one character during a regular run, and you're not going to know what to do with when you just got one white mage alive, or one thief. You have to know what to do, otherwise you're going to wipe.
Yeah, absolutely, and that is the best way to do that, because sometimes when you can just rely on black mage early sweepers. This is a really common example for brand new runners or ducks into the communities. What happens when you have no level 1 magic? This isn't quite as extreme as your single case, but doing those single character runs, if you're doing solo fighter, which is probably one of the easier solo character runs, you have to learn, how do I get through the early game? How do I get a few levels? How do I kickstart my seed? And that's an important skill, even if you're not doing crazy things. So definitely something to think about and to check out. Darren drives
into big problems here.
Yeah, just having a really tough time. The problem is that these fiends, both sides, they hit hard, and they do good, and they have enough HP, and critically, the higher absorb and evade that comes with clamp bosses, that you made it look a little bit easier than they were, just because you were able to get them dead quickly. And that was only because of the black belt. These runners, on the other hand, they have, decent gear to decent spells and things like that, but because they just can't kill these bosses fast enough, they have to take multiple turns, and every turn you take is another opportunity to get nuked or punched or various things like that.
There's a few nuclears on this Tia. I think it goes nuclear blaze, nuclear tornado. Or what the
Yeah, no one should fight that.
No, that's really tough.
But here we go, DVS coming in, and I think DVS, as I said, has a decent amount more levels. Also promoted, has a lot of things going for him, and is immediately going for the Brack strats. He wants...
Oh my god!
Oh my god, okay. DVS, you're getting props after this no matter what. Turn 1, first cast Brack. Don't try and Brack carry, or Lich, just punch him. He's learned from the commissioner himself. Gouda, teach me your ways. Brax, Tia, turn 1, first cast. Free chaos is free, or free Topher is free. Okay.
Fracking chaos is the way to do things, I can tell you that.
And here we go. Okay, yeah, I was gonna say he's adjusting the opal bracelet, but that's because he's gonna move the ribbon. These are all good things to do. You want to keep the pro rings on before for the death protection. He doesn't know what's coming. Yeah, moves the Masa onto the higher HP fighter, knows that the level 24 thief is not going to be the major damage dealer here. What we need to see from him, though, is turn 1 sweepers. That's the most important thing. I don't know if I'd be using heal 2s there, unless he has no heal pods, but anyways, here we go.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I wouldn't be frontlining the knight, but he just switched it. So,
yeah.
Great.
Yeah, no, he's got pretty good setup here. He moved the ribbon, which is always a good play. Coming out with nuke and invis, which is exactly what needs to happen here. The nuke's going to get off with turn order. This is looking very promising here. Just making the right plays. He doesn't know what this boss has, but just making good defensive plays, which is what you need on these tough seeds. Kind of hedge your bets. And good turn order, yeah. We don't talk about that, though. All good strategic plays, Will. Nothing to do with turn order.
Turn order is how I was able to get through it.
But here we go. Comes out with some heal 3s, going to do another turn of Invis 2. That is a little bit dangerous. Crack takes out only the white mage, so doesn't make too big of a difference. Sure, his other 2 characters are very susceptible, but this knight has 2 Invis stacks, is fast and tempered, has a ribbon against 2 war mechs who are punching for about 100 damage. Ooh, 400 though. Okay. Nope. Oh. Okay, that's unfortunate, because that was about as good of a setup as he could have gotten. But the big difference there is that war mechs went down in one or two punches to your black belt after just like a fast. And that was a fighter swinging a Masa that only did 300 damage, so it's going to take 4 turns each.
Yeah, about that. If you can get some quick nukes out, that wouldn't be too bad. Let me take a look at what the Warmechs are actually at.
On the...
Go ahead.
I was going to say, on the bright side, DVS immediately adjusting. Gonna go grind. And he's saying, you know what? Oh. Take it once. Oh, he needs houses. Or save items.
Yeah, he's actually got enough key items that I believe he's hit the experience bonus.
That's great. Take full advantage.
So yeah, DVS gonna go. This looks like he's going to go grind. I just don't know exactly where he's going. Is this the closest town? Oh no, he has save items. Maybe he remembers there's a spike tile somewhere that's faster. Because the eye grind is good, but the spike tiles are a lot faster just because you can save time from the, save item, etc. But meanwhile, Darendrice is on.
Here we go, Darendrice.
Let's see what this... He has not made it to this fight before, I don't believe. Okay, so starting off with Fades and Nukes. And honestly, I think Fades and Nukes are the way to get through these Warmechs, just because you're not going to be able to swing fast enough, quickly enough. But, double Nuke Fade each turn will get through these in, probably 3 turns. 3 or 4... No, a little bit more than that. Probably 4 or 5 turns. He just needs to survive and get lucky.
Yeah, he's going to have to have a lot of good turn order here. He's going to need some good rolls.
Yeah, but so far so good. Punching the fighter. He kept the fighter at the top because he made the strategic adjustment that his fighter is not his primary damage dealer. And that Warmech's down. This is looking good. Darendrice getting through the first Warmech already off a good roll, but no nuke available there, but does have a nuke stick with infinite casts. Okay, adjusting with the Cure 4, knows that the Thief is the most important member of his party because that Thief has infinite nukes. Zap goes out. Oh no!
Oh no!
No! Down to just the fighter doing 62 damage at a time. Punch comes out 778 damage, and Darendrice goes down. That Warmech has probably under 200 health left. Oh,
how many ribbons does he have?
1. Or maybe
one
0,
ribbon.
but probably 1.
Got 1.
I think he needs to move the nuke stick to the fighter, potentially.
He needs to move the nuke stick to whichever character has the ribbon on them.
Yeah.
Because nothing else is going to defend against Zap other than a black shirt. And no one in the party can equip a black shirt because we don't have access to a black mage or black wizard.
Yeah.
Also not class changed.
So yeah, this Ghastly grind gonna do the trick here for DVS. So yeah, it took a while to get here. This grind is going to take some time, but he's gonna hit, if he wants, 50 across this whole party in a few minutes, in 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes, and then he can go try this again. And we still do not have another finisher at the 2-hour and almost 30-minute mark. And at this point, I think DVS knows, this Topher is an absolute nightmare, and Will is just really good at this video game when things are difficult.
Really lucky. Just like last night, just really lucky, because that could have taken the solo black mage could have taken 7 hours and it ended up taking 3.5. I was very lucky to hit that Brack.
That was a little bit unfortunate. And Speed Gaming 2 joining us with a raid. Welcome to the inaugural hardcore edition of the Final Fantasy Randomizer Irongol Heavy Metal Championship. We had our first place finisher, Will Bloodworth, here with us on stream. Say hello, Will.
Hello, Will.
And I'm Jat, and I'm joined in the booth by Dr. Funkin. Say hello, Dr. Funkin.
Hello, Dr. Funkin.
And we are watching our last 2 runners try and get a second place finish here. This is a very, very difficult flag set, and they're trying to get through an unconventional final boss, which is Warmech and Friends. Both runners have already died multiple times to this, and they're trying to make adjustments, getting through, making strategy changes, and sometimes just brute forcing it, which is what DVS is doing right now as he tries to get some more levels on his 2 most important characters, his fighter and his red mage.
At this point, I'm thinking it probably still would be quicker to do the eye grind. I think they probably also have enough MDef, natural MDef to shrug off most of the bracks and most of the glances.
Especially since he just took a wipe to those Gasties and lost all the XP that he got.
Yep. Yeah, this is not a safe grind.
Darren Dries back onto the Warmech and friends though. His white mage went down, but his 3 people who can cast nuke are still alive. I'm curious if he switched the ribbon over. I didn't see how that ice 3 hit. Oh, but gets a back row punch. That's not good.
Yeah, back rowing the nuke stick hurts.
Ugh. No good.
Oh, big nuke rolls there.
Nuke and both Warmechs. Yeah.
He did move the ribbon. He moved the ribbon to the red mage, which had enough nuke charges left. I think he has a winning plan. It's just not an easy or like guaranteed winning plan, if that makes sense. You know, like this will work eventually, but what the percentage is really hard to say. And sometimes against these really difficult flag sets, the solution is just keep going until you get through.
I think the best thing here would probably be to balance out evasion and damage. Once you've gotten rid of those evil men, which you need turn order for that anyway. Once they're gone, you want to make sure that a punch isn't going to wipe out any character in your party. Especially the person holding a nuke stick or the person that's capable of dealing out the AoE damage. So I think launching out a whole bunch of Invis 2s, getting those stacked is probably a really good idea, as opposed to going all offense, because you saw what all offense did. You're relying on high nuke rolls, and when you don't get them, you don't get them. You're not going to get enough of them fast enough to win this fight. They have like 1100 or so HP.
Yeah, and Invis 2, of course, if you're not as familiar with this game, Invis 2 ups your evasion for your entire party. You need 6 stacks of Invis 2 in order to get up to maximum evasion, but even 3 stacks will do wonders for your survivability. It basically increases your effective HP pool. So, Darren Dries does know how to get through that Tia, and has also decided that getting through Tia is easier than getting through Kraken and Carry. So...
It can be. It's reliant upon turn order, nuke rolls, rolling high, not getting back road. But yeah, it can work. Like half the HP of Kraken, and Kraken's above 2k.
Okay, here we go. Lich, well known in our community for being a little bit of a speed bump, and this Lich is no different. He is a nuclear Lich, but still, that one nuclear, all of his party members are above the HP threshold of the highest possible roll, so he's going to get through this no problem. And back onto that alternate final boss. Well, DVS does this Ghastly grind again, but it looks like he's having a little bit more luck here, and also playing it much, much safer. Like heal potting up in between, things like that. Dr. Funkin, do you want to take this Chaos refight?
Absolutely. Alright, so we're going to start off trying to decide. We're going to throw an Invis stack on the nuke sticker. Great decision. And then we're going to go nuke stick, nuke. And the nuke stick comes off before the evil men do anything terrible, so they're all going to go down. And then a Fade comes out. Nice high roll on that top Warmech. Warmech coming out with Crack and slaying the White Mage. Other Warmech coming out with Ice 3. Another nuke. Another nice high roll on that top Warmech. So top Warmech is, starting to reel a little bit. And Warmech, 401 damage to the nuke sticker. That's unfortunate. And down goes the Thief. Another nuke comes out. We still got both Warmechs up. Nuke stick comes out. Top Warmech goes down. Crack comes back out. Ineffective on both party members. Nuke. We're out of actual nuke charges, so it's just the stick at this point. And an Ice 3. Nuke terminated! Darren Dries gets it! Finishing in second place with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 31 minutes, and 13 seconds. GG to Darren Dries.
I'm not gonna lie. I did not see SRL that he had finished before I asked you to call that. I guess I just had a good feeling. So, great call, Dr. Funkin. GG's to Darren Dries, coming second place. And, an hour after our first finisher? Yeah.
Yeah,
just
58
under an
minutes.
hour. But,
I don't know how much better I would have done with a fighter party.
yeah.
So that's commendable.
What I really like about Darren Dries here is that, he did not have incredible levels. He didn't resort to a grind, but what he did is he made small strategic adjustments each time, figuring out what worked. The critical one was where he determined that the war mechs were nukeable down. It's not like they have 4,000 HP. And then he just had to figure out a way that he could get enough nukes off surviving. And that did the trick.
And we are now joined in the booth by our second place finisher, Darren Dries. GG. I think you might have your mic on mute, Darren. Alright, Darren's push to talk may not be working currently, but they are here, and we do want to wish them GG for how great their performance was.
Yeah, they really stuck it out, and as I said, I was just commending their strategic adjustments throughout, so yeah, their voice is just connecting. They'll be here shortly. Meanwhile, our last runner on stream here, and this is not the last runner in this race, there are still others who have not forfeit yet. Just continuing the grind.
Hey guys, looks like my voice is working now.
Hey!
GG, buddy.
Thanks. How did you get done so quickly?
I had a black belt.
That would do it.
Black belt to 42, I think I was like an hour in. And I never left the southern continent once.
Yeah,
Apparently-
that's definitely doable.
You found the eyes, right?
No, is that a grind tile?
It wasn't a tile. It was the second encounter in what was Sarda. So if you go into Sarda, it was one of the sea shrine floors. And the second fight off a power cycle was eyes. So I saved outside, burned one fight, went in, and fought 2 to 3 eyes every time.
Gotcha. Yeah, I did see those once. I found outside of Ice Cave, it was man-cats and medusas, and then or catmen and medusas, and then like 3 mud goals and a rock goal or something like that. So I did those for a while.
Yeah, those aren't bad. DBS is doing 3 to 4 gas dragons right now in Waterfall on the trap tile. It's kind of a slow grind. It's a high payout, but it's tough. He's gonna heal after every single fight.
Did he find the nuke stick?
I think he did.
Yeah,
It's
he has
just,
the nuke stick.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
If he gets turn order, it's a really fast grind, but when he doesn't, he's got to keep healing and healing because he can't lose his exit casters.
Right.
So yeah, I think the eyes probably are a little bit faster here. If these guys didn't have damage poison, this would be it is a faster grind just in terms of it's on a spike tile, so therefore it's faster and it's a free step too. What I mean by that is that the door is not an encounter-causing step, so he's guaranteed to get nothing but gasties, which is exactly what you want when you're grinding, but the danger factor is very real.
Right.
I was
It's only because
super low level compared to you guys. 'Cause I think I finished in the mid-20s.
Yeah, you were like 25 and 26.
The rest of my party was like high teens, low 20s. It was just the black belt that had levels on it. The other ones were just backpacks, really. Nuke stick casters. That's it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They cast fast to nuke, and that's all that mattered.
That's all I needed.
But looks like DVS is ready to give Temple of Fiends Revisited another go now that he is level 40 across the board. That level 40 fighter swinging that Masa will not do comparable damage to the Black Belt, but will do fairly good damage. And also has just a ton of HP, which is another big difference maker here, especially for that Fiend or that alternate final boss, because if he moves the nuke stick onto it and makes that adjustment, that's going to be a very nice play.
Right.
That fighter also can cast Invis too, which is nice, because he has promoted.
Gotta say, Darren Dries, we were all a little surprised to see you keep going at Tiamat 2 with how nasty that was. It was easily the nastiest of the refight fiends.
Kraken was not nice either. He was hitting for 800 a pop, easy.
Yup.
And I was about to forfeit when I got through Tiamat 2, and I was like, okay, so all I need to do is just go straight at him.
Yeah.
I ended up going crack inside because I could do more damage, and I could kill him before he could kill me. But
Yeah, that makes sense.
But for a fighter party, yeah, Tiamat probably the way to go. Because you can launch out nukes, and I think he had like 1100 HP.
Yeah, if I knew that if he got past round 2, I was in trouble because he has poison, damage poison after this as well.
DVS, this is Tiamat 2. Brack strats do not work.
Yeah, well, they do. I think it's 6%.
6%, yeah. They do kind of work. It's not your best bet, but as I said, it is only 2 floors down. It doesn't take that long to get back. But Kraken's going to be a lot nicer. He may be thinking it's a little bit higher odds because of how successful he was previously, and a lot of people do talk about bracking Tia, but
yeah, bracking on the first try probably gave him a false sense of security with this strat.
not looking great. He does have a life on his Red Wizard though, so he's got 1 or 2 more tries here.
Yeah, I think it's like 1 in 17, 1 in 18.
Yeah,
per take.
And yeah, thanks for joining us, Darren Dries. Do you want to say anything else if you're going to head out, or would you like to stay in the booth and chat with us?
No, I'll hang out and chat for a little
Okay.
while. That was a lot of fun to figure out along the way. It's fun to do them blind like that.
Yeah, for sure. Did you immediately recognize that it was short Topher because of the loot in your inventory?
I did. I checked a little ways in. I know I lost a ribbon somewhere along there, which probably cost me about 20 minutes. But yeah, I did see that it was short Topher, and I think I went up to check the castle just to see if it was entrance shuffle or if the main items were shuffled if the king was there, but found out that Gaia was there right away.
And here we go. DVS continues to go against Tia and continues to try Brack strats. So this is going to look a little bit like Will Bloodworth's first attempts at Kraken, except much, much lower odds. So we could be here a little bit, but it will work eventually. At this point, he's getting 7 or 8 Bracks off each time. So he should get through every 3 attempts ish.
He'd be better served just throwing nukes out there, really. The HP's not that high.
No.
11, it's basically vanilla.
Like as you said, Darren Dries, you just have to kind of go at him with all the nukes that you can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I know I had done Brack strats against both of the bosses at one point and just couldn't get through either of them, so it was kind of a last ditch of, okay, let's just go full out offense and see what we can do.
Mm-hmm. I don't think... Here's the problem right now is that DVS has no idea what the boss clamps are, because he's never actually killed this boss, like vanilla, because he got turn 1 Brack last time. So he might think the only way to get through this is by bracking. I hope he makes a strategic change here, because he does have tons of HP on his party. So hopefully he either goes this other way, or he decides to change the strategy up against Tia, as that is definitely doable.
Just shoot out the nukes, just go all offense. Brack is not gonna get the job done.
Okay, there's the adjustment. He heard you, Will.
Good.
Fade 100, nuke comes out. Not the best roll, 220, so 330 damage so far. Brack still coming out with the Bracks from the ninja, and that's more reasonable. The ninja probably should be fasting the knight instead, but you can throw out a cheeky Brack. It's not as bad.
It's probably a better use of the turn, because the knight's not going to do a heck of a lot of damage anyway, even fasted. So
yeah. Oh, actually, the ninja does have nuke, but only 4 casts of it, so maybe saving that for a later fiend as well.
Right.
But this red mage, okay, switching to fast on the knight, that's not going to do much because as you saw, that knight with the X-Cal was missing every single swing. So a fasted miss of every single swing, not much better. Brack's continuing to go out.
So I'm beginning to think that DVS may not have the nuke stick.
Oh no.
I didn't remember seeing it.
Yeah, I'm guessing not if he hasn't been using it, because once you find out that fighter isn't hitting, and when he does hit, like crits for less than 100, you gotta start moving to that nuke stick.
Okay, but he's going full fade and nuke here, which is good. This is what he needs to do, and he still does have a life caster up, so this is, this looks like it's going to get through, and there he goes. Now he does know what the HP threshold is on that Tia, so he knows how to get through, and that's really important. Heal pops in a slightly unfortunate place, but gonna take on Lich next, and that's gonna be a very good sign for him. The one good thing about getting through that Tia as you did Darren Dries is that Lich is much nicer.
Oh,
Lich 1 was almost tougher than Lich 2.
I mean, Lich
Yeah.
2 does have nuclear. You gotta give him some props for that.
Kraken
I
1
think
was
it's
also very
return.
mean.
I just bracked Kraken 1. I never fought Tia, never fought Carrie. I killed Kraken like at the beginning of the race, and then I killed Lich not long after that, like maybe 15 minutes later, 20 minutes later.
Yeah, I took out Carrie as well, because it was right in one of the Cardias, was right under Carrie's floor.
Oh, okay.
Will would know that if he ever left the southern continent.
Right. Yeah, I literally never touched a single entrance on the northern continent. I looked back. I'm like, what the? I looked at my notes. I'm like, no, I never left the southern continent.
Okay, so DVS making some adjustments again. Looks like he's in pretty good shape here. Now, I'm curious, does he have a nuke stick? Does he remember if he has a nuke stick?
Did he find the silver 5 bracelets? Because I'm pretty sure those are better than gold -3 as well.
Yes, though that is correct. I don't know if he found it or not, but looks like he's going with a single nuke and then trying to get his fighter up. So this is a strategy that can potentially work. Oh, that's really nice. 4 cracks missing with only a single ribbon. Gets the turn 1 nuke off, so he's definitely got a strategy. He kind of knows, what he wants to do here. He just needs enough turns to be able to pull it off. And luckily the levels, the extra MDef really paying off, as well as the extra HP, just going to make him that much more survivable. So he gets fast off. It's going to get multiple turns to get tempers off here, as well as casts of Invis 2, and he's going to wall up his White Mage, which is also a nice little adjustment here, if he wants that White Mage to be able to cure for the fighter in the future. Because War Mechs punch hard, but with these Invis casts, they probably won't one-shot him, and Wall will do a very good job protecting him from, things like that Ice Through, which unfortunately got turn order on him. 3 stacks of Invis 2 already up. It's time to start tempering up that Knight. White Mage coming out with heal 3s, going up to 4 stacks of Invis 2, and that should be enough. Not to prevent all damage, but he does need to start swinging soon, as every turn there's 2 War Mechs on the field, so another turn they can do some serious damage. But there we go, the War Mech's missing. Temper goes out. War Mech still missing. Good enough Invis 2 knows it's time to start tempering. And this is looking good. Wall goes out. Fighter swings. Fasting the Red Mage as well. Fighter goes out though. 7 hits, 418, a little bit dodgy, so a Lock 2 might do some work, but this is looking good. Considering a cheeky Brack, but decides to swing instead, which is the right call. Heal 3 goes out, and another swing. This fighter will take out this War Mech on this turn, and then the other War Mech will not be long for the world. The thing with this War Mech and Friends is, unlike Chaos, where there's only a single person, when you take out one of the War Mechs, it does make the fight significantly easier, just like when you take out all the Evil Men. So getting turn order early important, being able to take things out quickly important. There we go, first War Mech down. DVS looks like he's going to be our 3rd place finisher. So all 3 finishers of this race on this stream in front of you. Here we go, couple more swings. There we go, with that, DVS finishes in 3rd place with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 46 minutes, and 5 seconds. GG to DVS.
GG.
And we will see if he is going to join us for a quick interview as we wrap things up on this late night special. But that is just great perseverance. Darren Dries and DVS both adjusted in different ways, but both of them adjusted with a strategy that will work. And that is so important on these difficult flag sets.
I think that's really the fun of the randomizer too, is especially like this one, we knew nothing going into it, but you always have to think on your feet. It's not something that you've memorized in terms of a speed run. It's you're trying to go as quick as you can, but you also have to make up your strategy as you're going along.
And with that, it sounds like we have been joined by our third place finisher, DVS. GG, DVS.
Thanks, guys.
Gee,
Thank you.
way to go.
Oh, I gotta say, in an hour before, man. Like, I know you love the hard games, man, but like it just kind of shows. I don't know. It blew me away. So, game to you.
Thank you.
Irongol? Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. You said you were gonna wait for me at the end, and then you beat me. What the?
Yeah, I was surprised that I actually finished that one. So good job finishing.
Yeah, that was a tough start. I feel like once you got past that first like, thing around the world, things started to fall into place a little bit. But it was fun.
It's funny you say that because Will didn't go around the world at all. He just stayed on the southern continent the whole time.
Yeah, I noticed, like, first of all, I forgot to check Dwarf Cave, so I didn't know where Topher was until the very end. Like, this was one of those, there were a couple really deep dungeons that, well, I want to say Sky 1 had like 6 tablets on it just by itself, or something crazy like that.
Yeah, that dungeon had 11 total if you went to kill Tiamat at the bottom.
Which I did not. I'm guessing he was at one of the C splits. Like, I didn't go up there.
Had Tia and Lefane.
Yeah, yep, Tia was Lefane. But yeah, there were
Oh.
a ton in that one dungeon though.
I got rod locked off of that Sarda dungeon, and let it be. Didn't even know where the rod was, but that was like 8 floors in or something like that.
Wow.
Oh,
So yeah, so it's getting a little bit late here, but we'll just kind of pass it over to you, DVS. Is there anything that you kind of want to highlight in particular about the seed? Any difficulties you had, or any things that you enjoyed about kind of going into the seed blind?
well, I love going in blind. Like it just in the middle of this, as you're like scrounging around trying to find, it's like any enemy that isn't going to instantly kill you. You just kind of have that moment of like, this is awesome. I love thinking through. Hey, I'm just getting wiped constantly. How can I change? What can I modify? How can I end up moving forward? I was gonna say tomorrow I'm doing an Irongol against Sir Lancelot at 2:00, and one of the things in that flag set, which was on this flag set, is that NPCs are not incentivized, and it really changes your perspective on what you're looking for and what you get excited about. And I just like that change around, that when you get like the crystal or the ruby, it's not, oh yay, I get another important item. It's, oh, I hope there's experience scaling on items. It's a very different view.
Yeah, for sure.
One flag I thought was particularly mean was the only being able to change at a tavern for a nun character.
Really?
Because I went in to trade my thief out for a black belt at one point, and he wouldn't let me trade out.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
that's
said earlier that this race might have been won at the selection screen because of
Yeah.
how difficult a lot of the stuff was and how crappy the swords were.
So, did anyone else find the 3i encounter off of Motorcycle?
That's how I got my level 42 black belt online.
Ah, you had the black belt.
Yeah.
when I saw that 3i tile, I was like, oh no. Let's see. Black belt. Yeah, you just get your 99 tenths and just power cycle on to 42.
Literally what I did. It was great.
And then when you saw Warmech and Friends and the nuke taking out all of the evil men, I don't remember if it's evil men or bad men. You probably just punched each of the Warmechs and end of game.
They took 2 punches with nuke or double nuke. There was I don't know if you found it or not, but in Ordeals there was a nuke stick.
Oh, really?
Mm.
Ordeals is the one dungeon I skipped.
Yeah, that would have helped. I used that nuke stick to grind the eyes, because the eyes had glance and brack.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was turnovering them. I had to
Did you
turn
end up
over them
finding
until the
the-
limit.
I ended up finding 1 ribbon. I don't know if you
Yeah.
heard around it.
Yeah,
I
one.
found it, and then I died, and I forgot to pick back up again.
Yeah. Fun fact, wealth was random and impoverished on this seed, so you were all lucky to find a ribbon and a masa. Actually, no, that's it. You weren't actually lucky to do it, so Falconic, almighty creator of the seed, actually guaranteed that the pool was strong enough with impoverished by making masa and ribbons incentive items with all loose. So you were guaranteed to find a ribbon and etc. etc. So it was quite a smart setup. So there's not going to be much else out there, but there's going to be a masa, Vorpal, a defense, and a ribbon.
Very kind of him.
I think it would have been nice to find, but never did.
That Vorpal was a -5, so it was not worth being incentivized at all.
The katana was -4 or -5 too. So
Yeah, that upset me.
Well,
go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, so yeah, as we kind of wrap things up here, I was just going to kind of pass it around. Well, maybe we'll go to Will last. So why don't we start with you, DVS? Do you have any kind of final thoughts for the seed and anything you're looking forward to in the Irongol? I just blanked. Not extreme. Hardcore championship division.
I love blind races. You never know what's going to be around the next corner, and I'm thrilled to have finished. Period. And to finish up behind these 2 great runners. I'm just excited about the next one.
Awesome. Over to you, Darren Dries.
Yeah, I agree with DVS. That was a ton of fun, just not knowing what you were going in for and finding out that you had to go check the first 2 chests in order to go anywhere. And then, thanks to you guys for tracking and for casting it. It was a ton of fun to do it. And then, just finding our way through. I was excited to finish. I had about 2 hours, 2:15. I was about ready to forfeit, but figured I'd try it one more time and just kept going.
Nice. Passing it over to our current belt holder, Will Bloodworth. Any final thoughts? Thanks for sticking with us for this, last hour of the stream.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fantastic to finally get an individual championship of some kind. I've got a standing challenge here from Reese Wolf, and we'll figure out the date and time for that. It'll be, like, as is anything else in this division, blind flags coming in, because this is the best way to play this game, in my opinion. We also have 2 people off stream right now who are running, Dwight Desitel and Cytown. This is, put it in chat here, if you want to check him out and root him on while he finishes this up, or go to Cytown as well. I'll put his name in here too.
Yeah, let's hit Dwight up with a bunch of views so he can get pumped up as he tries to get through this really tough Temple of Fiends Revisited.
And I know Cytown's very new to the community too, so the fact that he's even running this is impressive.
Yeah, that's, man after my own heart. I'm sure that's the way to get into this game, as hard as you can make it. But I'm looking forward to taking on all challengers as long as I hold this thing. If and when I lose it, I'm gonna be fighting to get it back. This is definitely my new home. So thanks to Gouda for creating this, and thanks to everybody here for participating and putting this race on. Speed Gaming for hosting us. The 2 of you for doing comms tonight. Our tracker. I want to thank all of you for being here tonight for this 3-hour fiesta.
Sure. And yeah, I just want to thank our tracker, Jay Scheidel. He did a great job. Entrance floor shuffles, always a really tough one. And why don't you take us away, Dr. Funkin, for this end of this 3-hour marathon?
Absolutely. I would like to thank everyone in chat for sticking it out with us. This has been a great night. Please follow all of our runners. They put on a wonderful show for you tonight. Please follow the Speed Gaming family of networks. And please follow my co-commentator, Jat, as well as our tracker, Jay Scheidel. If you saw this and thought, wow, that looks like fun, I'd like to get in on that, go to FinalFantasyRandomizer.com, roll yourself up a seed, and start playing. If you have any questions, come join us on the Final Fantasy Randomizer Discord. We'll be happy to help you out. Other than that, that'll do it for me. Jat, you have anything else?
Nope, I'm good. So thank you very much again. And to everyone, I hope you have a fantastic night. Thanks for staying up with us.